Today, we are telling you why everything is about to change for Nintendo. They are going to become the entertainment juggernaut when this movie comes out. But are they ready for it? We will discuss all of this.
Yeah, we've been thinking about this latest Mario trailer, and we were just at Super Nintendo World last week, so that's really been on our minds. And It does feel like something is happening, something big is happening, but kind of knowing the way the company moves internally and what that change is going to mean, I think we're both on the same page of like, I don't know if they can keep up with this pace of change as it happens.
Yeah, exactly. I think that they might not be fully prepared for how fast this is going to shift like their overall company priorities. And yeah, I wonder what this is going to mean for some of the other things that we all really care about when it comes to Nintendo, like video games. Like, what is that going to do
what
to
are those?
Yeah, these things called video games that we love and play. We'll see. Yeah, we definitely want to dig into this. We hope you will stay with us on this episode of the Kit and Krysta Podcast. As usual, everything on this wonderful channel is made possible by our Patreon family. Thank you so much if you are already subscribed to our Patreon community. You are what is keeping all of this going. So if you want to keep hearing our insider stories from when we were at Nintendo, if you want to hear our insider industry insights, come join us on Patreon. Why not?
We got to meet up with two of our Patreon members in our One-Up Club, Gartooth and Paul Pace, while we were at Super Nintendo World. And
that
it was
like
wonderful. One of the highlights of the trip, getting connect with them in person.
Yeah.
And that's something that we really enjoy, is like creating relationships with our subscribers that feel like we know a lot of them really well at this point.
We do really. I mean, I feel like we do, and we celebrate their wins, and we're there. You know, the community is so supportive when people have problems or they're not feeling great. You know, it's been a great place for us to sort of foster all of these deeper relationships with all of you, and we really enjoy doing it. So join us at patreon.com/KitandKrysta. There are tons of benefits beyond just hanging out with us all day, like bonus Q&As, early access. Obviously, you get to be part of our wonderful Discord server where all of this daily conversation takes place, and it's great.
Yeah, and subscriptions start at $2 a month and go from there. And we also have a great free trial if you're curious about what this whole thing is about. Very easy to give it a shot.
Yeah. And, all of the Patreon support helps us obviously keep this content going, but also helps us think about what other types of content we can be creating for you guys. And one thing we've been thinking about and hoping to do this year is to get back to Japan. We haven't been in a long time, and we do need funding to do a big trip like that. But if we're able to get to Japan, we were going to be creating so much, cool content to share with you guys. We both spent so much time in Japan when we were working at Nintendo, so we know a lot about Japan, and we definitely want to take you to some of the secret places that we've been to when we were at Nintendo and share with you those insider stories from when we were there. And help us get there.
That's right.
It's going to be great.
We are going to be talking a lot about our experience at Super Nintendo World today, and really just going over like every single detail of what we saw and experienced. But we do have videos on this as well. Our first video is out, our first of 3, which is our full park tour and our sort of review of the Mario Kart ride.
Yes, you can finally find out if Kit threw up after going on the Mario Kart ride. If that happened.
There were multiple opportunities for me to vomit at Super Nintendo World. If it doesn't happen in this video that's out now, it might happen in the video after that, which is where we went to the Toadstool Cafe, which is like a near
Mayo moment.
The one eatery in the park, and we ordered a lot of food there.
Yes.
And ate a lot of it.
We did.
May have been some close calls.
Yeah.
Some things that we liked, maybe some things we didn't like.
Yeah, exactly. We had a lot of fun. So excited to have all of these videos upcoming for you guys. As I was editing these videos, it was just like so cool to look back on such an amazing and like very highly anticipated experience for the both of us, since we've known about this thing for so long. So that we hope that you enjoy this discussion that we'll have today in the podcast, but also go and see with your eyes, your own little eyes, all the things that we saw when we were there. There was actually definitely some like dramatic moments that I wasn't expecting that happened to us there. That was like, oh, I was very surprised by some of the stuff. So go watch those videos and definitely see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so that second video on the food, that will be out soon. And then there's a third video about everything that you can do with the power-up bands. And there's a lot you can do with the power-up bands. So that'll be out after the food video. So lots of Super Nintendo World stuff coming up soon.
Yeah.
We also did a reaction video last week to the final Mario movie trailer. Check that out to see what we thought. Even we did the game explain this time. We went back and we looked closely at little details, like what's this, what's that, who's this. It's not a 96-hour 12-part installment like others you may have seen, but
we're not counting pixels.
And then finally, what's new on the channel is we have done recommendation videos for Wii U and 3DS games you should get before the eShops go poof.
The panic buying begins or continues.
It is setting in.
I feel
3 years ago, I was panic buying food, bread, toilet paper, life-sustaining
cans of beans.
Yes, life-sustaining goods. 3 years later, I am panic buying Art Academy games, virtual console games,
push mode. Push
mode. I already had push mode. I don't need that. I got that. I've been good with push mode.
Don't let push mode fade away like Spider-Man in that movie.
Yeah, but I mean, we got like 2 weeks to go as we're recording this today, and it does feel like people are really going to town on this.
Yeah.
The sadness, you can feel the sadness. It's palpable. We might do another 3DS video.
More 3DS games.
It was a struggle to get to 5 Wii U games to recommend, but it was hard to trim down our 3DS list to just
tell us if you want to see a bit more as you panic buy eShop games. But it's true. It's like the truly the end of an era. And who knows if you're ever going to be able to play these games again if you don't buy them now. So you guys seem to be loving these videos, so we're happy to keep recommending more games. The other thing that someone mentioned over the weekend is that you're no longer going to be able to watch Nintendo Minute on the Wii U eShop or the 3DS eShop, which is really sad. So the places where you can watch Nintendo Minute is really dwindling, people. So watch it while you can, download the games while you can.
It does feel like those systems, like the book is finally fully closing on those systems now that the digital stuff is drying up. There were still some, you would still hear about them now and then, but this really does feel like the end of an era.
It does.
And there was that story that was going around of like, oh, if you don't turn on your Wii U for a long time, you'll get memory corruption. I think that's what happened to me when we did that Nintendo Land video.
Yeah.
And we started getting those crazy errors that I'd never seen before.
Right.
And it has to be because all these people are going back to the eShop, turning the systems back on. So hopefully your system still works.
I think the headline for that was so sad. It was like, your Wii U will die of loneliness if you haven't turned it on for a while.
Dust inhalation?
Well, it's pretty sad, but I already threw mine away.
Well, you already threw yours in a dumpster, so how sad can you be? I'm keeping mine whether it works or not.
Download Affordable Space Adventures now! Hurry.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But yes, those videos are there for you. And of course, we've been getting some good suggestions of other games that we haven't mentioned in the comments, so keep doing that too. That's great.
All right, we should get into our impressions of Super Nintendo World, but first, this episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Thank you.
Thank you, HelloFresh.
Yes, with HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
Yeah, we've been long-time HelloFresh users
and lovers.
Lovers, exactly. And we talk about HelloFresh a lot, and they are just wonderful. so many different recipes and options to choose from. Right now I'm doing the pescatarian option again, so that's just fish and veggies. And there's different ways that you can set up your HelloFresh menu with tons of different options, and everything just tastes really good. Like, honestly, I have never cooked a HelloFresh meal that I didn't love, so it's delicious and easy and quick, and there's lots of options.
It's also really remarkable how, like, eating at a restaurant and just getting food from the grocery store seems to feel like it's about the same these days. And HelloFresh is actually a more, like, cost-conscious option than both. According to HelloFresh, 25% less expensive than takeout.
Yeah,
so no, people are watching their dollars and cents these days. So this is a really good way to eat well, but not break the bank, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta60 and use code KitKrysta60 for 60% off plus free shipping. I repeat, go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrysta60 and use code KitKrysta60 for 60% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Yay! We'll put the link right here as usual, and also in the description below. Go and get your 60% off. It's wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Super Nintendo World.
Deep impressions.
So
on our
we were
little
there.
Document. We wrote deep with lots of E's.
So we were there last Wednesday. We did a full day. We decided that was the proper amount of time. We flew in the day before to get ready, and we spent the whole day there. Nothing but.
Yeah, we did. The thing that we did that I thought was actually really helpful is we got the early access. We paid a little extra. It's $20 more. So you get a general admission ticket and you pay $20 more. And you get to go into the park 1 hour before the park opens. So we were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at like 8 a.m. Got to the park even like a little bit before 8 to walk. It's kind of a far from the entrance, to walk all the way to Super Nintendo World to get into Super Nintendo World right at 8 a.m. And we ended up spending the entire day starting at 8 a.m. there, which was kind of crazy, and we were pretty tired, but it was really fun.
Yeah, since the park is still new and there's so much interest around it, I do feel like your trip, if you're going, could really be make or break by how much planning you do in advance and how much research. And like, I feel like there's some things that you really need to do, like if you were like us and you wanted to do it all and not get caught up in a line or miss out on something, and getting there right at 8 was one of those things.
It really, our whole day kind of hinged on getting there right at 8 to do some of the things that we knew was going to take a long time, and that left us with enough time to do a lot of the exploration that we wanted to do, because there's a lot of little secrets and bits and bobs that you can't plan for. So you want to give yourself time to really, experience all of that. But let's start with sort of our first impression well,
I was going to say there was one other thing that we did the night before that I think was a good idea. Which was
get the bands early.
So in the Universal City Walk, which is the kind of shopping area that's open to the public, we went the night before and got our power-up bands.
We did. They had every single one available as well. I've heard that these sell out.
You had a close call.
I had such oh my God. If this happened to me.
Trip ruined.
I don't know what I would have done. I think I would have bought another one. Like, I don't know. I dodged a major bullet. So we go to the City Walk store the night before to get these bands. I had already decided that I'm getting the Yoshi band. Yeah, Yoshi's my favorite character. And you were like kind of like waffling between the Toad one and the Mario one. My cat's freaking out right now because she senses my distress.
It's a tradition now.
You hear that? Whoa.
How can you not?
It's so loud. I'm so sorry. I don't know why she's doing that. She's fed and happy. Don't worry, the cat's not being abused.
I'm concerned.
So we get to the cash register and I tell the guy, hey, I want the Yoshi one and you were getting the Toad one. And he picks up the Princess Peach one. But then he flips them over and is about to scan them. And I was like, hey, I think you picked up the Princess Peach one. I wanted the Yoshi one. And he was like, oh, good thing you caught that because that would have been a final sale. Can you believe that?
He was real smarmy about it too.
I
was you might have had to break that one if you got the wrong one, buddy.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if that would have been great because I definitely did not want the Princess Peach one. And I would have been really upset if I was stuck with a power-up band that I didn't want. Anyways. So I was really waffling.
I surprised myself by going with the Toad one, but the way there, I was like, I'm getting the Mario one. This is like a Mario Park. I love Mario. I'm just gonna get that.
Yeah.
Even though you kept saying I was so boring for that.
You were so basic. Getting the Mario one is like basically.
Let me be basic.
It's basically like you wearing Uggs and getting a PSL, and I was.
Well, just let me do it. Gosh.
No.
But they have a really nice display where they're all laid out and you can see them. And
yeah, it's cool.
You know, the Toad one has like the mushroom icon on it. It does look pretty different. Like it has this kind of, it's white with these like little polka dots. It kind of looks
cute.
Like, it looks like Wonder Bread packaging.
It definitely looks like Wonder Bread.
So I decided to go with that. They have also, what are they? So they have a Luigi,
Daisy,
Peach, Daisy, Yoshi.
Mario.
No Bowser. We were very surprised at.
Why not Bowser?
I don't know.
They should have a Bowser missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
I would have gotten the Bowser one. It would have been between Bowser and Yoshi if I had a choice.
I might have gotten the
Bowser.
Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser. I mean, that would look super cool. Like black and red would be cool because they don't really have a lot. Like the colors all match the little icons, right? So, anyhow, I was disappointed that there was no Bowser. This is like blah blah for Smash at this point. It's like how many power-up band characters?
I'm sure they'll introduce more later or do like redesigns or something.
Redesign some, or like limited edition ones or something.
I do think that was a smart move because we knew that the power-up band was really an important part of the experience.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to get like waylaid in the morning of like, where do I go to get one? Do I have to wait in a long line? Mm-hmm. They ended up having like vending machines right as you walk in, which seemed fine.
Yeah, they didn't seem crowded, but I have heard like horror stories of people saying that they've inside the park they don't have all the options. Yeah. And so maybe I would have been stuck with
it. Was just one more to do that we could do in advance and not worry about. So I'd say that was a smart call as well.
Yeah.
So yes, our first impressions. So you really go down, you go in through the main park entrance, you go down a series of like 3 or 4 really steep escalators.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can see off in the distance the park.
Right. And you can kind of get a little glimpse of it. So you're starting to get kind of hyped, like as you go down the escalators, because it is quite a long walk. And so you're like getting I was definitely getting like kind of antsy. Like, I can't wait to see it, especially when you catch a glimpse of it.
Yeah, and the way that you go in is, there's kind of some decorations on the outside, but it's just a big wall. And then there's a warp pipe that you go into.
Right.
And I think you and I had both been on like blackout of any videos of people going through that pipe.
Yeah.
Because we did not, of anything, do not spoil that first impression.
Right, exactly. We really wanted to preserve our own like first impression of that. And again, it's a little bit different for us because we've known about this thing for so long. Like we've seen the renders. We've seen like what all of that stuff looked like when they were just like literally like skeletons of stuff and like plans, like blueprints. So I think in our own heads, we had like built up what that moment might be. So we definitely didn't want anything to like taint that for us. So we really went in like super just like fresh, into that. When we went into that warp pipe, it was like the first time we've ever seen any of that stuff.
Yeah. So you go in, the warp pipe sound plays. There's like a sensor, which is great.
Yeah.
And then you go into Peach's castle first.
Right.
Which again, we've been avoiding this stuff. I didn't know that was what you did first, but that was a great place to drop you off. And it's like, just like Super Mario 64, you look to your right and your left, there are those paintings that you can see.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't realize until later on, which was too bad, which is once you leave that castle, you cannot go back in because they're like, this is one way only. People come in through here. So if you want to linger in there and take pictures, you totally can. But once you're out, you're out.
Yeah, exactly. They keep that area pretty clear because I think they want everyone to have that experience walking through, which is great. But yeah, there's like the paintings. You definitely want to have the uncontrollable urge to jump through the paintings. You cannot, but I tried, of course. And then, you know, then you kind of like walk out of the castle, and that's when you get your first glimpse of the actual world and like what that looks like. And it, for me, I gotta say, I had like the all-time like wow, overwhelming moment. Like I couldn't believe it. Like my senses were completely overwhelmed with all of the stuff. You're trying to like take it in, and it's really incredible.
Yeah, they laid it out really well where once you step out of that pipe, you can see everything at the park. And I didn't, like you're just not prepared for how much like movement and detail there is.
Yeah.
So like everywhere you look, there's like coin spinning or some character walking back and forth or some little detail that you can only see if you're, you know, in the park. And you could just stand there for, I don't know, 10 minutes and like, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this.
Yeah, totally. I was like really impressed by like the height and sort of the different levels of stuff that they constructed to make it just feel like you were completely immersed in this world. Like you could, you know, crane your head up and look all the way up to the sky, and it just looks completely like you're enveloped in this world. And there was even moments where I took photos, and I was looking at the photos. I'm like, why does the actual sky look like a fake Mario sky? Like it's so there's a weird thing that was happening in my brain, I think, when like real life stuff was like laid behind the Super Nintendo World stuff, and it just looked, all of it looked like fake. It was weird. It was, I don't know how they do it. It must be like a perspective thing, but even like the real sky looked like it belonged in that world. It was unreal.
Yeah, so there's things to do kind of all around the perimeter of the park, and the middle is pretty open. There are some like platforms and mushrooms and stuff that you cannot go on top of. They're for visuals only. I wonder when somebody's going to try and do that. So it does feel pretty open, but yeah, pretty much all around the perimeter, there's stuff to do, whether it's like a power-up band activity or the ride or the restaurant or the store.
Yeah.
So it is, they're making the most of the space that they have.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Yeah,
that was one of the things that I had heard going in that I wanted to get a feel for. I was like, well, it's not as big as the Osaka park, so maybe it won't feel as grandiose or cool. Like I didn't feel that way at all.
Yeah, it definitely felt big enough. It definitely felt grand. I know that there's going to be different rides at the other parks, like the Donkey Kong ride, for example. Like there is no more room there at the Hollywood location. Like they've really, I think, stuffed everything possible into that very small, like little footprint that they have. So I understand that, you know, there's no Yoshi ride like it is at the Osaka park. There's not going to be a Donkey Kong ride, or they might have to plan something different. But what we saw and the stuff that you can do in the Universal Park, it's plenty. I mean, again, 8 a.m. to like 5 p.m. We were still doing stuff.
We did not set foot outside of that park for that whole stretch of time.
Yeah.
We were doing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the filming wasn't really like didn't take that. Like we were just filming while we were doing stuff, but we were like doing the activities pretty much like all day in there. And it felt like there's still more to do after we left.
So the first thing we had a couple things that we knew we needed to do right away once we got in. And one of those things was set up our power-up bands, which we already had. So for that, you need to get the Universal Hollywood app, which has like its own app within an app for Super Nintendo World, which is really cool.
Yeah,
like,
the app for it is so good.
Yeah, there's like a map of the whole place and it shows you where everything is, but that's your interface with the power-up band. So it keeps track of, you basically get a score for the day across a lot of different things. So it's like just for you, depending on what character you have, they break you into different teams. They're like, oh, did Team Toad get more than Team Yoshi?
Right.
It tracks your score on the ride, the Mario Kart ride. And then it also tells you, like, you can collect all these different stamps, which are basically achievements. Yeah. Where I don't know how you could get those all in a single day, because there's like no way. Over 100, I think.
There's no way. It's like 123 stamps or something.
Yeah.
And some of them are really hard to get. Like we saw some that's like you have to do a challenge or do an activity multiple times to get that like third or fourth stamp. So I think it's great because it gives you like the incentive to go back and have like almost like replayability. If you are a completionist, I think this would be something that would drive you insane because you won't be able to do it in one trip. Or it'll be very motivating for you to keep going back to Universal.
That's fun to go back again and sort of pick up where you left off.
Yeah, it keeps
gives you purpose, sort of. Yeah. So we got those all set up. That was very easy. You can like put in your name, and like you and I became Power Up Band friends, so I could see your score.
Yeah.
I ended up winning for the day, by the way.
Excuse you cheated.
The next thing we did was we made a beeline for the restaurant, the Toadstool Cafe, because we'd heard, it can fill up really fast, and the way, if you don't have a reservation, you might not be able to get in. So at 8 a.m., we were able to make a reservation really easily.
Yeah. At 8 a.m., you said all the slots. It's a QR
everything
code.
Was
you
open.
Scan it. Everything was open.
I mean, I should
so
hope
you had
so.
your pick. Yeah.
Jeez.
You had your pick.
Yeah. But by the time we did go to eat, we had heard, there's a minimum like 4-hour wait. That was the time for the next reservation. So if you hadn't planned ahead for that, that could be dicey if you wanted to do that.
And as we were leaving around like 5 o'clock, it said there are no more reservations available.
Well, yeah, I mean, the park closes at 7, so.
Right. So like, you even if you try to go, sort of the last thing you do that day is to go, like try to walk in, you can't. So definitely go early and make your reservation.
So that was the second, like, early to do. This was kind of stressful for us. Like, first thing, it was like, all right, we need to get in. We obviously want to film our expression, have this great first impression, but we also have these kind of time-sensitive things that we need to knock out right away.
Yeah, it was okay.
So the last thing we did was we got in line on the Mario Kart ride because they also tell you on the app how long the waits are on all the rides in Universal.
We've been checking like the day before.
This one had the longest line of anything at the park, up to about 3 hours, depending on when you looked. And
that would have been dicey for us because we were only there the one day.
I hate waiting in lines, especially for something that, I mean, this was like a 5 or 10 minute ride.
It was a 5-minute ride.
So we got right in that line at like 8:05 or something.
It was something like that.
Because it was like we just need to knock this out. We can't, be stuck in this thing for like a huge chunk of the day. And again, that was the best thing to do.
Right. Although
the line experience,
some drama
was something.
Yeah. So we were actually in the line. The line was not long at 8:05 or whatever it was. People in line were very nice. We met some lovely viewers in line. And it was fine. And then we were like getting into the castle and we were like, we're really going out. Like we get on this ride in the next 10, 15 minutes and we're going to film inside the castle because that's cool, And then we started to get these like dramatic announcements that's like, the ride is broken. The ride is not working right now. You can stay in this line or you can leave and come back later. And so there was some panic in the line about what was happening.
Well, those announcements weren't great because they had no ETA of when it would be fixed.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the normal person making the announcements because they were kind of like mumbling and it was hard to hear what they were saying. So it was like, what's going on?
Hard to hear. Yeah. At first it was just like garbled nonsense and all of us were like, what? And then like as we were continuing to wait for this ride to be fixed, it started to get a little bit more clear. The communication was getting a little bit better, which was good, but they still were not giving like any ETAs. They were just basically like, it sounded bad. Like this ride is fundamentally broken. Like we are sorry. Like that's what
fundamentally broken.
You and this ride are fundamentally broken.
And I tweeted that out. And I started to get all these responses of like, oh yeah, I was there a few days ago. That thing's always broken. So I was like, oh gosh, that's just kind of the way this thing is. That stinks.
Yeah. Kind of wasn't a great first impression, honestly. It's like, oh, this thing just opened. Should this not be like janky right now?
Right.
Taking a seal of quality.
And then there was a very dramatic moment in the line in Bowser's Castle where the power went out for about 30 seconds. Everything went dark.
completely black. Also, by the way, we captured all of this on film, so if you want to see,
this is all in the video
moment. Like, I'm so glad I was just keep recording.
I was so lucky.
The whole time.
Yeah.
It was crazy the way it looked. You guys have to go watch it, because even when I watched it back, I was like, dang, that's really scary. Like, how did this happen to us?
Yeah.
So it was like a blackout, and you were like, oh no, it's the purge.
Anything could go in this line now. Anything can happen.
Lights come back on and Kit's just dead or something.
Just on the ground.
You turn into a toad. Oh no.
So again, like any electronics, they had to pull the plug and plug it back in. And then from there, they're like, oh, it works now. And the line resumed. So I think we were probably in line with all those mishaps for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I think if you didn't have the mishaps and you went at 8 o'clock, you could have gotten through that thing in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it would have been much less.
Once they were like, the ride is fixed, we were just like running through the castle, like at that point, like literally just getting on the ride. So it wasn't like the line was long at that time. It was just because the ride was broken.
All of the stuff that you see on the line through though was really cool.
So cool.
Like all these props, all these details that you might find in Bowser's castle. They made it feel like he was actually living there. They had like his throne. They had this bookshelf, and every book was named individually. This kind of like funny gags.
And then you go into the Bob-omb factory where they're like making all the like, you know, enemy weapons, the weapons of mass destruction. Just kidding.
Yeah.
The whole experience of like, you know, Universal's really great at this. There are other rides that I've been on also do this, where they kind of like, as you're waiting, going through the line, they're like selling you on this experience. So you're like getting into your, you know, with other people and getting ready to like get on the carts and getting your team all ready to go. And you're going through these little chambers and getting your visors. And all of it like serves to make you feel like, oh, this is like real life. Like I'm definitely going to be driving this Mario Kart for real, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was great details to take in. Again, if I was stuck in that line for 3 hours, I don't think that would have helped. But I mean, we were taking pictures of everything because it was so cool.
Yeah, we can't. Again, this is all in the video, so go watch it if you want to see all the cool details in there. Like, I mean, there's just so many cool things to find.
Yeah. So then the ride itself, once you get close, they group you, like they take however many people will fit on the ride, and they like close the door, and they're like, all right, you're going to go on this thing, and you get like the Mario hat, which is one half of your AR visor.
Yeah.
And they were stuff like, oh, choose a team Mario or Team Bowser. That was a little unclear. They just
get to wear a Bowser visor if you are? No.
Okay. They just kind of funneled us onto the ride. Maybe that's something you can do if you know which way to go. There were sort of 2 staircases you could take.
Yeah, we went to the left staircase.
Yeah, and then they get you into the cart, and there they have the other part of the visor, which like magnetically,
it's like a magnetic
snaps
on.
The
visor is actually super heavy though.
Yes,
and so be prepared for that, because I wasn't, and I was like, oh, this is like kind of uncomfortable, and I like dented my head.
It was really. I mean, it's like, why is this thing so heavy? It's just kind of a piece of plastic. There must be some electronics in the other part.
There's electronics in there, yeah.
That clips on.
Yeah.
And they give you a quick little run through of what to expect. Not that much though.
No.
Like if you were going onto this ride blind, you could be like, what? Huh? What do I do? What's this?
What do I do? Yeah.
And then
I like that we were in the front row. That was cool. We were in the front row of our
we had a great, and you got some great footage of the ride.
I filmed the whole thing. I was one-handed driving, filming the whole thing, and I still beat you. So I think
just like you in a real car.
Pretty much.
You're a risk on the road.
We didn't do the red light challenge in that ride though. We should have. Next time.
You thought going into this that this was a ride where the cart actually did not move.
Yeah, so like if anyone has been on like the Harry Potter ride at Universal or the Simpsons ride at Universal, you guys know that the entire thing is AR. So you get into like a thing, but it's not like the thing is not on a track. It's just projects the stuff around you to make you feel like you're moving. I've heard things like, oh, those rides you move like 1 inch forward and backwards and that's it, but you in your brain it feels like you're actually on a roller coaster or whatever. So I thought that's what this ride was, and that's why I was concerned about you and your vomiting. But no, that's not what this ride is at all. It's definitely like a 50-50 mix, I would say. Like it's on a track. You are going through sort of more of like a Disneyland kind of ride where you go through like different little like Mario Kart track vignettes. And then projected in your visor is like other things to interact with. Like there's enemies you can shoot. There's like other characters that show up. So it is like a 50-50 mix. Which
as you go, you get items. Like you hit the item block and you get like shells. And you can there's a trigger on the steering wheel where you can shoot the shells, and it keeps track of all that. So you get scored at the end. It doesn't move fast.
No.
But between the real sensation of movement and they're like blowing air at you, and then all the stuff you see in the visor, they do sort of trick your brain into thinking you're going faster than you are. Yeah.
The last bit of it definitely felt fast because it was Rainbow Road.
Right.
And that was a lot of AR. So I think if you were very sensitive to AR, that might be the only part that would be uncomfortable for you. So like close your eyes at the end if you don't like that.
For the record, I don't have a history of throwing up on roller coasters. I just don't like them.
You're
so I don't know where you came up with this crazy scandalous thing.
No, I didn't want you to get scared. Or get sick. There have been other people that we've worked with closely that, you know, as we were working on Universal stuff, we would go to the park to like learn about Universal, and we went with people. Like I've gone with people that have not done well on those AR rides and have literally thrown up. So I was worried about you. I don't have any issues with. I really like them, and I love roller coasters, so I don't have an issue. But I have a lot of friends that have a real problem with those. But this is not that ride. Like you would be fine, even if you had a little bit of motion sickness. I think you would be fine.
So the whole thing was what do you think, about 5 minutes?
Yeah,
not long, but very exciting, very cool. So I thought it was, you know, a really great thing to do. Again, if I had to wait 3 hours to do it, I might feel differently. But I didn't, so I had a great time.
Oh, you're not good in a line. Let me just tell you. I was like, I'm really good in a line.
I got things to do, okay?
I could just like space out in a line, just be like, oh, like
slack jaw, just drool.
I would just like sit around, like, you know, whatever. I used to play my 3DS in lines at theme park a lot, but next time we'll bring a Switch or something.
Oh, that was a bummer. I brought my 3DS to do street passes at the park, and in the rush to get out there in the morning, I left it in my suitcase.
I know.
So I didn't have it with me on the park.
Yeah, that was really fun when I used to go to theme parks, and I went to like Tokyo Disney one time.
Yeah.
And literally every single person in a line would be playing 3DS. I have photos of like an entire like 200 people in a line playing 3DS, and you get street passes all day. Good times. We should bring a Switch though next time. Anyway.
Yeah, totally.
So we come out of the ride. It was great. No one threw up. And the next thing we did was we did a little bit of exploration that we'll talk about in a second, but do you want to talk about the Toad Cafe next? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were kind of getting up on our reservation for the Toad Cafe. Now the reservation system, I'm not trying to say this to like tell you guys to game it or whatever, but we went online and made the reservation. And then when we got to the front of the line, like there was somebody kind of like checking off people or whatever, or like helping people make reservations. We were like, we have an 11:30 reservation, and that person was just like, okay, go ahead. They didn't check.
They didn't check anything.
They didn't look to see if you had like a confirmation number. They didn't ask what your name was. They just let us in.
Like, great, go on in.
Don't do this though. If you don't pretend like you have one,
it's gonna be chaos at the Toad Cafe now.
It's not good karma.
No.
Don't do that. Just make the reservation. But like, I'm just saying, like, we were like, oh, do we need to show you something or
no?
Okay,
just go.
So yeah, in we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a really interesting setup for this restaurant because it's not like a normal restaurant.
Yeah, they have so many people to get in and out that they can't operate it like a normal restaurant. So the way they do it's really pretty unique. So you get it's a series of lines. You get in the first line where you order, and like the menu is flashed everywhere. You do get to see Chef Toad. They have a video of Chef Toad.
So cute.
Which is very cute and cool to see. But you order, and then you get your drinks, and then you get into another line to actually get a table.
Yeah.
And we waited in line. So it was like each of those lines was probably 10 minutes.
Yeah,
so
at least.
Like 10 minutes to order, and then 10 minutes holding drinks. luckily we didn't have like a million drinks.
So we had some drinks.
It's a long time to hold a tray of drinks.
I was holding that tray for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long time. And then someone takes you to your table, and then you wait again. I think we probably waited another 15 minutes to get food.
Yeah.
So it's not fast.
No, you're gonna need some time. Yeah, but they seat you. You do not seat yourself. They kind of manage traffic control everything because it is very busy in there. But they do a great job. They're so nice. Like I don't know if I can do that job. That job seems really hard and really annoying. Like all these people everywhere and like kids running around.
Kids just like rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, I was really scared to spill my drink on the
They're gonna
crazy
take you out.
children. It's crap, and it's not a huge space in there, not at all. So definitely, I applaud the people that were there. They had such good attitudes about everything.
Right. Wow. So we wanted to get as much as possible.
Yes.
Interestingly, some things were unavailable, like sold out. And again, this was at 11:30 in the morning on a weekday. So I don't understand their supply chain into the Toad Cafe.
Yeah. What's Toad doing back there?
Yeah, it was a lot of the desserts were gone. So they were like right away, they're like, sorry, the Princess Peach cupcake is not available. I was like, fine, we didn't want to order that anyway. But then there was another dessert, the beanpole cake.
Yeah, you did want that.
We did order it. And then when we got to the table, they told us after the fact, oh, we actually don't have that. So we had to get a refund on that.
Yeah.
But we got two appetizers, 2 entrees, and 1 dessert.
1 dessert and then drinks.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say definitely watch the video for like the deep impressions of all the food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the taste test and everything.
Yes. One important detail though.
Oh.
They do not do any substitutions on any food there, which is interesting because we both found a lot of the menu to be maybe not the best if you are a picky eater. You and I are not picky eaters, but there's like a lot of like mushroom stuff on almost everything. And I know like a lot of people who just don't eat mushrooms. I love mushrooms, but
I do too.
That could be tough.
Like there's a lot of people that are like mushroom haters.
Yeah.
Like we definitely know a few people that really dislike mushrooms. I would say that restaurant is extremely mushroom heavy.
Yeah.
It is called the Toadstool Cafe,
Right.
so I guess that's a theme. But like also I will say that I was surprised at how like intensely flavored everything was. Like if you're trying to satisfy a very broad range of tastes, I wouldn't, salt my soup like that. You know what I mean? Like it is like intensely mushroom and like seasoned really intensely. I thought it was delicious, but like if you don't like that kind of stuff, like I don't know if you could eat there.
Yeah. Oh, the cat's here now. The mystery intensifies that the cat opened this door. But so we had our eye on either the Mario burger or the Luigi burger. Early on, I looked closely at the picture of the Mario burger and I said, oh no, there's some mayonnaise-based sauce on there. We're not getting that. Let's get the Luigi burger. And then I looked closely at that too, because the menu says pesto on the Luigi burger. It didn't look like pesto to me. Again, this is my life, so it's scrutinizing menus and photographs of food.
Yeah.
We asked the nice lady at the counter, is there mayonnaise in this sauce? And she also kind of squinted at the menu too. And was like, I don't think so. Not the most convincing answer. And we said, can we just get it without that? And she said, absolutely not. We don't do any.
There's no substitutions.
No substitutions. So we rolled the dice and got it. That was destined to be your item. You took 1 bite and the verdict came down. Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you think a restaurant should know what's in their food?
I really was a little surprised by that. Like some people, I mean, you really intensely dislike mayonnaise, but you are not allergic to it. Like what if you had a really bad allergy to eggs or to something that's inside food? Like that's not good. Like so many little kids go there too. So many little kids have like such bad allergies. I don't know if that's a safe thing to do. If your staff doesn't know what's in the food and you don't allow any substitutions like that, That's a little dicey for me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's not going to fly at this day and age, you know? Like, that's
yeah.
seems bad.
On the whole, though, the food was pretty good.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would say, like, watch the video we totally ranked all of the stuff, and I think we overwhelmingly, like, ranked them positively. I really was surprised because I like that drink a lot, and I don't even like sweet drinks that much.
We need 30 minutes on this drink.
So good.
That's great podcasting.
Good drink. Add a little vodka. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Non-alcoholic.
Smuggle in a power-up mushroom flask.
Oh, I should get that. That's cool.
Oh no.
And one last thing on the food. The plating and presentation, top notch.
It did
top
look
notch.
Exactly like the pictures on the menu.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that was
really well done. Like, so cute. And even the plates have little Captain Toad, like little Chef Toad on. I mean, it's very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
So after that, we're full. And we really dig into these power-up band activities. And there was one, so like, I think people know there's, question mark blocks everywhere. You can hit those, you get a coin sound, and it like registers on your band that you got coin. There was this whole other like meta to the power-up band that I don't think we knew about. And honestly, I have not seen a lot of people talking about, so I don't know how many people have been doing this. Yeah. Where you can do these different activities in the park to get 3 keys, which will let you get into Bowser Jr.'s castle and like fight Bowser Jr. This was totally new to me.
This was, maybe I missed it because I was sort of on a blackout and people have been talking about this, but I did not know that this was a thing. I had thought that sort of the only big ride was the Mario Kart ride, but I would say this Bowser Jr.'s castle is like a pretty robust, like ride-like experience.
Yeah.
But you do have to kind of do some planning for this, which
luckily
we were able to figure out like pretty early on in the day, so we could do it.
Yeah. So there's multiple things that you can do to get you to 3 keys. There's more than 3 things, which is good. So you can choose what you want to do, but it's all like, some sort of a challenge where it's like, hit the blocks to flip them to one color, or there was one where you're like spinning Koopa. Something to like spin the Koopa off the hill or something. The thing is, though, you can lose these,
and they don't explain them to you very well.
They don't. That's a big nitpick of mine. So you can stand in, and again, you have to stand in line. Like the longest
lines are pretty long.
We stood in line for like over 30 minutes for one of those, and you can just straight up lose and not get the key, which would be devastating.
Somebody had a meltdown.
It was almost us.
It was almost me, but it wasn't.
Because we did one where they didn't really explain what to do, and you and I had a different interpretation. And it wasn't until like the last couple seconds that we got on the same page and did it. But
again, this is all in the video. There's a moment where you see me basically yelling at him. It was really funny. I was just like looking up at him like, what the heck are you doing? Watch the video. It's going to be great. But yeah, there's so many moments where they don't explain to you at all. So you're just kind of like watching the people in front of you either do it and win or do it and fail, and trying to like piece together how you're supposed to, to do this challenge. And honestly, I was kind of panicked. Like I was like, first of all, I don't want to be embarrassed, because that's embarrassing it's a huge game over sound if you lose, and everyone can see that you like didn't do it, and that's really embarrassing. And also, like, if you don't get the 3 keys, you can't go into
They're
Bowser
super
Jr.'s
strict about that.
castle.
There's a guy,
and that guy out there says no.
Who's like, scan your thing. No, you can't go in. So, and it's like, gosh, we got to get to the airport at 5 o'clock. Like, if we don't do this, I don't know if we have time to do it again. So the stress was high.
High stress.
But we got the 3 coins and we got in. And that's like a mini version of Bowser's Castle, but it's all themed around Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
There's like a little statue of him. There's like his artwork that he's been doing. There's other little like Easter egg hidden things. They have a Karibo shoe in there.
There's a special Bowser Jr. block in there too that they don't have anywhere in the park. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then you go in and you do this actual like little, like, it's not even it's like a fun, cool, interesting game that you have to play to get like this golden mushroom back, which I was, again, had no idea that this was a thing.
The game is basically Connect, because it projects your silhouette on the screen, and it's like dropping bob-ombs and you have to like knock them out of the way.
Yeah.
I was like, this is literally Connect.
Yeah. You can, it senses when you jump up, You can get power-ups, and when
Yeah.
you get like the fire flower, you have like fire flower coming out of your
And it
hands.
senses like where you're throwing it. It's really, really neat.
Really cool. I hurt my arm because I was throwing it so hard.
Yeah.
The imaginary fireballs.
We did not get the golden mushroom the first time though, because they said, because you're flailing around, they said, take your power-up band off and put it in the cubby if you have a bag. And we found out after the fact that you still have to have it close by to you. So I got in a small argument with the guy outside of like, you told me to put this in a cubby. And he said, no, sir, good day.
He let you back in, though.
I was arguing with him about a cubby. He let me back in to do it again, and I got the gold.
We got our mushroom.
Crisis 2
again,
averted.
There's some dramatic moments in this. In this.
Don't you try to talk to me about a cubby. Don't tell me about cubbies.
That young person was so nice. You were like antagonized. You're going to get kicked out. But yes, we got back in. And don't listen to them. When they say, like, take off your band, don't take off.
Keep it on.
It's not going to fall off.
Keep that thing on you.
Or put in your pocket or something that's on your body still.
Right. So we got the 3 keys. We got the gold mushroom, which is one of the major like categories of achievements. So it's like we needed this thing.
It's a big deal. Big deal.
We did check out after that the shopping. There is a shop in the park. It's pretty much the same stuff that they have at all the other shops, though.
Yeah.
So we had kind of seen all of it at that point. We didn't spend too long there.
Yeah. Exactly. It was very crowded in there too.
So that's kind of like the whole of all the activities. Like I would say like there's just a lot to like poke around and look at. Like we found some secret like staircases that took us up to the top where you could get a great view and do some other stuff with like AR binoculars that I think people miss. So it's good to just like walk around slowly and like, what's this? What's that? Can I do something with this?
There's so many little like nooks and crannies that you can duck into, and there's little like secrets. There's like little secret Pikmin, in places there. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs. So give yourself time to explore around. And there's like, if there's, something around that you feel like is something, just scan your band.
Try it.
It's probably like something. So it's cool. Yeah.
Nitpicks. What was your big nitpick for the day?
My big nitpick for the day is the people that wouldn't explain anything to me at all. Like literally, even if you ask them, they're kind of like, just hit that. Or they're not very detailed, especially because I was high stress trying to get these keys. Like I wish that I'd gotten some instruction. Or even like on the Mario Kart ride, they don't explain to you how it works. You're just like, sit down, put this on. Like,
that was mine as well. Like if you're waiting in line to do something, like it seems like an expectation that you should know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially for that Mario Kart ride, which is pretty complex. Like you do watch a video, it's pretty high level. Like as you're getting into that cart, you have like sensory overload and the person's just like, get in. So
they're like shoving the seatbelt thing onto you, and they're like, you're trying to figure out how to magnetize your AR thing on. Like there's a lot going on before the thing takes off. So.
Yeah. We did hear from other people too. Like it does seem like since it's still only a few weeks old, they're still working out some of the kinks and like trying different things. Because like we heard from somebody who went to the Toad Cafe that literally the day before, and they said, "Oh, the process for doing everything was totally different." We went to somebody who went when it was raining, and they said, "Oh, they turned off all of the animatronics." I don't know if that stuff just doesn't work in the rain or what.
Yeah.
So I do give them a bit of benefit of the doubt that they're still
working some stuff out.
Figuring some of this stuff out because it is new.
Yeah, sure. Totally.
So last week we did some manifestations of what would make a perfect day. So I think it's worthwhile to go back and see, like, did we hit those?
Yeah. I think both of ours is like, is it going to be overly stressful? I think it would have been if we had not done all the planning. So I would say if you do not want to be very stressed out and you have limited time and all that stuff and you want to get into things, like just do your planning and you'll be fine, because we were able to do it all in one day. So I think that worked out. That grand entrance moment, I had really like set myself high expectations for that. And I think that totally met my expectations. So I thought that was a moment that I was just waiting to experience for myself. And I'm wondering if I would have that wow moment. And I definitely did. So
the one that I wasn't sure about was be surprised by something. But I was surprised by the Bowser Jr. Get the Keys challenge, because again, I just missed that and I hadn't heard about that. So I was like, oh wow, there's like this whole other thing that I can do that is very experiential. Because again, I wanted the experience. Like the ride was the ride. I was like, oh fine, I'll do it. I wasn't dying to do it, but this felt more like integrated into this whole park that I was in. And I like the idea of like, oh, I'm trying to get into this castle by doing these things. That was neat.
Yeah, I think that whole idea is very much like it feels like what you would do in an actual Mario game, and the way that they were able to bring that into real life is quite impressive, honestly. I did not expect that. Even if you guys know about it now because we just told you all about it, like I think you'll still have a fun surprising experience if you did it yourself. Like even hearing about it, I don't think does justice to like how it feels. Like that anxiety, that anxiety actually like made the experience more fun, because it's like there is a chance you could fail. Like in a game, you can die. You can game over. Like that you can game over. You can be purged in a Mario Kart Bowser's Castle from a blackout. So it just made it feel so real. Like, yes, you are really doing these challenges. Yes, there is a real chance for you to fail. And yes, there's a real chance for you to not get into like a secret lair. You know, that's like such a game thing. I love it.
Yeah. So final thoughts on this whole day and experience.
Well, I loved it. I love theme parks. I cannot believe that a Nintendo theme park finally exists, as a person that, you know, just really experiences stuff that I like, Disney things or Star Wars things or Harry Potter things at a theme park, and really enjoy that experience. I'm just so glad that one for another love in my life, you know, Nintendo exists, and I get to do these now, and I can't wait to go to some of the other ones like in Osaka or in Orlando. So
I mean, I hesitate to say that it's perfect, but it's pretty darn close. Like again, we don't do reviews, but I would give this a 10, this experience a 10.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a theme park person. I don't really like theme parks, but this didn't feel like a theme park to me. This felt like something different. Like walking,
this feels like a theme park to me.
Seeing the rest of Universal to getting to Super Nintendo World, like that feels like a theme park. It's like I'm walking on some long playing.
I don't know. I think you're not being very fair, because if you walk into like the Harry Potter Universal experience, it feels exactly the same.
Care about Harry Potter. We're talking about Nintendo.
If you walk into the Star Wars experience at Disneyland, it feels like Universal.
You're ruining my point right now about this being a 10 out of 10.
You can totally give it a 10 out of 10. I'm just saying that you can't say that it doesn't feel like a theme park when you have not been to other theme parks. Like that's
those are modern. Those are modern theme parks, and those are few and far between. I'm mad at you now. How dare you? Well, actually, there's a lot of theme parks
that match this level of.
It's a 10.
Other people also really like these other experiences, and it can also be a 10. I agree. I agree with you. Don't be like this.
It's a 10. It's perfect. You need to go see it.
And you would go to the other theme parks for this, right? You would go. Mm-hmm. You would want to either, as a non-theme park person, self-proclaimed, you would go back to Super Nintendo World at Universal.
Oh yeah. I would go back to this one. I would go back to the. I want to go to the Osaka one.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you went to this theme park and was like, "Ew, I hate theme parks."
This did not make me say, "Oh, I want to go to the Star Wars theme park." And you know me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I just think
you should go, and you would have the same experience that you just did.
I just don't care.
Super Nintendo World. You would care.
It's time to move on because you're ruining my point. You should all watch our videos, though.
Watch the videos. I worked really hard on them, so please watch them.
All right. It's time for our Never a Minute segment. We were just talking about Mario Kart Ride. After this, we're going to talk about the Mario Kart 8 DLC. So we had to do something Mario Kart themed for this.
Yes.
We are doing Would You Rather Mario Kart Edition.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Should I go first?
Yeah, we each have 3 choices. Let's begin.
Okay, here we go. Number 1 for me. Would you rather have a blooper effect every time you sneeze? So you sneeze and black sludge comes out and sprays all over whoever is around you. Or if you're in the car, it like sprays all over your windshield. It's a mess. It's disgusting. Or live in a world where there are slippery banana peels everywhere. And at any moment you could step on one and fall. Like literally the ground, like you have to really, it's like the dog poo-poo on the ground. Like instead of that, it's like banana peels. and it's everywhere. So you could literally slip and fall at any moment, all the time.
The blooper one sounds bad because even if I, into the hand, then I've got
It's
a handful
black.
of gunk.
Yeah.
Carry a kerchief, like a real gentleman, maybe. Disposable, maybe. No, I'm going with the banana peels. I feel like I can dodge those. There's a lot of stuff on the ground. I mean, there is like doggy doo-doo everywhere.
Doggy poo-poo.
Yeah. Got to dodge that in real life. What's the difference there?
It's going to be a lot of dodging. What if you're like holding like groceries?
Oh, no.
Oh, and then groceries everywhere, that would be bad. That would be really bad.
That's my choice.
Okay.
All right. Some interesting parallels for my question to you. Would you rather be stuck behind Wario for an entire race, smelling his exhaust and his exhaust?
In quotes.
Yeah. Or spin out on something yucky in Moo Moo Meadows, a.k.a. Doo-Doo Meadows. There's all those cows. What do you think they're doing?
Cow pies.
Exactly.
Cow pies are not
rename it
pies.
to Doo-Doo Meadows, please.
Doo-Doo Meadows.
Yeah.
Oh, no. But spin out, like, I'm in the car, though, right?
I mean, there could be some sprays, some... It's at your peril.
Oh, no. I'm in a suit, though. Wario. Because I'm in the suit, the helmet.
You're driving fast.
Protects me.
Yeah.
From the stench.
The waft.
Of his exhaust.
Quote, exhaust.
He's gonna, like, Dutch oven me as I, like, drive behind him. Gross. Ugh. I can hold my breath, too. I can breathe in my mouth. Like...
That's not better. It's going right in your mouth, then.
But then I'm not smelling it,
Oh.
I can breathe through my mouth. I can also hold my breath. I'm pretty good at
There
that.
we go.
Okay. All right. That's what my pick.
Round 2.
Round 2. Would you rather have every single freeway in California, including the ones that you use every day, be turned into Rainbow Road? Or give all drivers, and the drivers here are nuts, the ability to red shell each other. The chaos it would be. The chaos.
What is the downside to the Rainbow Road option? That sounds fun.
It just seems hard to get places.
Well, I'm usually not driving off a cliff when I'm driving in real life, so I'm not
But
worried
can
about
you?
that.
Do you think you could stay on?
The road's the road. Again, I'm not veering into the shoulder onto a sidewalk.
No, the road turns into like a Rainbow Road track. So let's
Fine.
say to get from like your house to our studio, you would have to like literally do the Rainbow Road course.
Oh, no, that sounds fun.
You're gonna do that?
I don't want the red shell option. These people
because it's chaos.
We're not going to get anywhere. Yeah,
we're just gonna dent our cars
Yeah.
badly. I think I would drive up. It would take me like hours to get places.
you just want to shell somebody.
I do a little bit. I have some road rage.
My last 2 choices for you are actually fairly serious.
Oh, okay.
So would you rather lose a race because of a last second blue shell or lose a race because of a botched drift in the final turn? What's the more acceptable way to lose?
Blue shell, because that's not my fault.
I was gonna say,
if
you
it's
can't
my
blame
fault because
yourself.
I botched the drift, and I
Right.
would kick myself, be like,
Yeah.
"Dang it, I almost had it. It's all my fault." Like that's the blue shell is like I can just have a jaw and be like,
Yeah.
"That's all my control." Like it wasn't me.
This is like a good Rorschach test for like.
You're a
you gonna
psychiatrist.
who do you point fingers at? Yourself? No,
No.
of course not. The other guy.
I'm perfect. I'm an angel. I'm a driving angel.
Learn a lot here.
All right, here we go. This is a good one. Would you rather have the ability to make money, so you instead of making money the regular way, the regular way, the only way you can make money is by collecting coins as you drive around,
Oh,
or only be able to tour famous cities by driving through them, like the courses in Mario Kart Tour. So like, how there's like a Paris and like a Bangkok, like for traveling forever, like to see these cool cities, you would have to like drive through them like a Mario Kart course. You couldn't stop and like walk around or anything like that.
I feel like the first option is just a recipe for chaos in general. Like, we're from the Silicon Valley area. We got people mining Bitcoin.
Could you imagine the
crypto
bros driving around?
What these people are doing in the streets.
They're gonna GM fam so early to get onto the road to get to like collect coins and stuff.
Yeah,
it's gonna be bad.
Write an AI to harvest coins in the streets. Yeah,
that's true.
No,
yeah,
so I'm
self-driving AI cars.
It would be nice to get out of the car, but I don't know. You can do it for certain cities. You can do a great driving tour and see a lot of stuff. So that sounds not so bad.
Can't get out the car though. Drive right through that hawker stall.
Just get some food.
Slam
food
into that chicken and rice. Right in your face.
All right, my last one for you is we're looking into the future. Get your crystal ball out. Would you rather get more Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks until the end of time, where they just keep cranking these out, or you get Mario Kart 9, but it's not what you expect?
Oh, I don't need Mario Kart 9. Just give me the courses. I feel great right now.
You don't want to roll the dice on a different Mario Kart 9.
No, I like it. Right now it's nice because it gives me a reason to go back to Mario Kart every once in a while, and I'm like satiated by the amount of courses. The game, I don't know if it's pretty like great still. So I'm happy. I'm a happy girl. Don't rock the boat, people.
All right, great. We easily solved these dilemmas, made these choices.
Jim, crypto fam, get your coins ready.
That's truly a nightmare scenario. I really can't
imagine
believe you.
Silicon Valley is Rainbow Road, and only way you can make money is mining and AI driving coins, and everyone's sneezing like a blooper into your face. That is a nightmare scenario for the Bay Area.
This is like a Last of Us level scenario.
It's literally a nightmare scenario.
All right. We are moving on to what we're playing. And I got to say, we have been playing a lot of stuff.
We really have. Like you in particular have been in your dabble mode again.
I have.
So you've been doing lots of little bits and bobs here.
I'm in between games because we finished Yakuza and I'm waiting for Resident Evil later this month to be my next big thing. So it's nice to just have a time to like snack on some stuff.
Oh, the snacks.
But I have a lot of it. It might be more than I can actually fit into this segment. We might have to save some for next week.
It's not a snack; it's a meal now.
It is. It's like I'm just eating like a little thing of chips here, some taquitos here.
Oh, taquitos!
Yeah, it's like I'm cobbling together snacks to make a meal.
It's your version of tapas.
Yes,
Spanish
exactly.
Tapas.
Game tapas. That's what it
Game
is.
Game tapas. Oh, this is a good segment. Game tapas.
Let's start with this Mario Kart 8 DLC, though. This came out on March 9th, which was like the avalanche of stuff for Switch.
Yeah.
We both played it.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Again, we were just talking about Mario Kart, so I am feeling good about this like current cadence of courses. Like this like whole system of doing these DLC courses, like I really like them. It gives me an opportunity to go back to Mario Kart. It's like a good excuse to play Mario Kart. And it's a good way to play Mario Kart for me because I'm not going to be playing Mario Kart like exclusively as my only game. So I quite like having these courses as little new things to go to. But I thought that this round of courses was pretty good. Like usually I always judge it by how good those Mario Kart Tour courses are. And this one had some good ones, like Singapore, really fun. The Bangkok one was really, really good. You didn't love the Amsterdam one as much, but I thought it was cool, like the tulips and the windmills and it's cute.
There are so many tour courses that those can kind of make or break the pack of how you feel about those.
Yeah.
But
I thought that was good.
I like the Singapore one because like you're driving on the ground and then you're up on a skyscraper and then you're jumping off. That was neat.
Yeah.
Bangkok,
going under into the on top of the Marina Bay Sands, that famous hotel, which I've been to in real life, and seeing that as a Mario Kart course. That's pretty cool.
Bangkok, they really like dramatically laid out some of the scenery there. The Amsterdam one was cool that you're kind of getting out of the city and into the countryside for a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
Those courses, like, again, sometimes since no lap is ever the same, like those first couple playthroughs, sometimes they do a good job of showing you like, oh, now you're supposed to turn this way, and some of them they don't. And maybe that was why I didn't like the Amsterdam one as much, because I maybe got hung up on some of those turns a couple times.
Lost. Yeah,
they do a good job of having little surprises in these packs. So we got Birdo in this one, and then whoa, we got there's all these other characters we've got spaces for now that are coming out. And the Yoshi's Island course was totally new.
That was a great course.
Now I've seen some people saying this is like a top 10 Mario Kart course ever. I feel like that is some hyperbole.
That's definitely hyperbole.
Recency bias.
I thought it was a great course, but I wouldn't say it's in my top 10 or my top 5, I guess. Maybe my top 10.
I liked it. I thought it was maybe not complex enough to make it into that tier.
It does have kind of the same idea as the Animal Crossing course, where like they do little fun things where like the coins turn into Yoshi coins, and like they really pay attention to the little details to make it really feel like it's not just some Yoshi artwork in the course, but like little things in there are very like themed like a Yoshi's Island game. So I like that about it. Thought that was really cute. I really like that course. I thought it was really fun.
Do you have predictions for who these new characters are?
Ooh, gosh.
Just insert baby or metal in front of any existing character.
Rose gold. What was it? Pink gold peach or something?
Pink gold Donkey Kong. Here we go.
Pink gold Wario. Now, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's either that or baby. What are the babies? Is there a baby Yoshi?
They should do a baby Yoshi.
In a tiny egg cart, like a baby Yoda in a tiny egg cart.
They should really do that.
Can we? Yeah. Can we please? Is Diddy Kong already in there?
Diddy Kong is not. And I think that's one. I mean, there's a lot of characters from older Mario Kart games that aren't in this. Like even Funky Kong was in the Wii game. Like
Petey Piranha.
Yeah, there's a lot more that they there's a lot they could do.
So. Yeah. Baby Petey Rose Gold Piranha.
Maybe they'll do another version of Link, Tears of the Kingdom Link.
With his messed up arm?
Seems like they'll probably do that, right? I don't know if that deserves its own character, but
Zelda's not playable in Tears of the Kingdom, but is in Mario Kart. Troll on you!
Yeah.
Like so Nintendo.
I saw they also did like readjust some of the stats, like behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
For like the heavy characters, the light characters. I'm not super competitive with my Mario Kart, but that's neat that they're still tinkering with it.
That's why I think it's good just to keep doing this and just keep improving Mario Kart 8. You know? I have a funny story about playing this DLC because we still get together quite often and play games with our old Nintendo friends. And when this DLC pack came out on Thursday, we scheduled a game night. So it was like all of our old friends that were on the social media team at Nintendo, and then producer Stephanie was there as well. And we were having like real adult conversation. Like we were having this like deep conversation about like relationships and life. And it was like so heartfelt, but at the same time, we were killing each other in Mario Kart. So it was like this deep, like, I know how you feel about, these relationship stress. And then I would like wham her with like a red shell and she'd be like, damn it, Krysta. But also like, with my, like, it was so funny. I was like, this is the best example of adulting in my life ever, because like, not only can you have this like real heartfelt conversation with all your good friends, but you could still like have no mercy when you're playing Mario Kart.
Exactly.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so fun.
You have also continued on with Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to being confused by whatever you have to say right now.
Completely confused. Yeah, I hadn't been able to play for a bit because we were traveling to Super Nintendo World, and finally kind of dug back into it this weekend, which is great. And I'm pretty much sticking with the main story. I know there's a lot of like open world to explore in this game, and I have done some of the side quests, but the main story continues to be like super good, really interesting. They do a great job of sort of doling out to you the very essential experiences that you as a Harry Potter fan wants to experience. Like I think last time I talked about like how cool it was to like finally get your wand, and like the customization that they put into the game for getting your wand is a big deal for like a Harry Potter fan, and they really paid it off. Like the latest thing that I did was I finally learned to fly on my broomstick. So I was able to take my like flying class. And yeah, you sort of learn how to, it is exactly like the movies or the books where you know have this experience of flight, and that the really exciting moment. And
can you do that anywhere in the open world? Just fly around?
You can fly around. It's super cool. You like go and after you take the class, you like buy your own broomstick, so you have your broomstick and stuff. And the tutorial for it was really neat. Like they like kind of fly you around like Hogwarts Castle, and you get this really great like view of everything. It's beautiful. Like really, I mean, it looks amazing. So it definitely like again paid off like a very critical sort of Harry Potter fan experience. So I really appreciated that. The main story and sort of the way that they're laying out the story is really interesting. It's a really good mix of like puzzle aspects, and just like the combat feels pretty good as well. I finally kind of got into less tutorial and less stuff inside the school, and more stuff like in the Forbidden Forest where you're fighting like evil creatures, or like some more of combat, and you're really getting to use all the spells you learned and like how to combine them and do like different combos, and like you know, all the spells are spells from Harry Potter as well. So you have to like be very critical and like how to put them together to do the most damage. And I think that's really clever, like the way that they did all that. So yeah, I'm still really enjoying it, and having a lot of fun. So I'm probably gonna beat this game. So
you mentioning the flying makes me want to ask that sport that they have. What's it called?
Quidditch.
Quidditch.
Yes.
Can you do that in this game?
So it's really funny that you asked that, because in the very beginning of the game, the headmaster comes out and was like, "We canceled Quidditch season." So I don't know if that was like preemptively, DLC? Like you can't do this. But when you are in your flying lesson, you do fly like towards and around the Quidditch pitch where they play the game. So it's like maybe that's a tease for later.
Yeah.
Like maybe later they're like, you can play
that
this
smells
now.
like DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was like, it was like very deliberate. It's like, oh, by and by this year we're canceling Quidditch, and you're like, oh, why?
All right.
It's really funny. Yeah, I know it's fun. I'm still really enjoying it.
All right. I got 3 things to talk about today. First is the Dead Cells Castlevania DLC, which I knew about, but I was like, I could probably skip that. But then I saw it was getting, like, I think IGN gave it a 10. And that kind of got my attention. And I love Castlevania, and I really like Dead Cells. So I decided to check it out. It's $10, which is very reasonable. Mm-hmm. And basically what it does is it opens up this whole new area, which is Dracula's castle. And you can presumably get all the way to the end and fight Dracula. I haven't made it that far.
It's hard.
It's very hard. But you also get like new weapons that are from Castlevania, which are cool. I'm still unlocking some of those, and the presentation is really great. Like you can tell the developer has some real love for Castlevania, and just all the attention to detail. Like there's references and characters, and all this remixed music, which is really great. So I'm liking that. I was pretty into Dead Cells when it came out. I guess it's been I fell off, but I guess it's been a couple years now. I didn't realize how much they've just kept adding and adding and adding to that game and refining it. It felt pretty different from what I remembered it to be. Just like super polished. I remember when it first came out on Switch, the performance was kind of rough, and it was like, oh, the frame rate's bad and stuttering and stuff like that. Like ran great. Like I felt like I noticed like some new lighting stuff that they were doing. So it looked looked really nice. And yeah, just all these other kind of little optional things that you can do, or like character customization that they didn't have before. So I was pretty impressed going back to that game. They've obviously been hard at work on it, and this Castlevania thing's cool. But I've just been enjoying like some runs I'll do the Castlevania thing, some runs I'll just go normal. I'm still not that great at that game, so I never make it all that far, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember playing this game like right when it came out as well, and I didn't get very far because it's pretty hard, but this is like sort of the first kind of roguelike game that I played. So yeah, I remember really enjoying it, but I hadn't gone back since. But yeah, it does seem like they made a ton of improvements to it, which I'm surprised by.
Yeah. The other two things I've been playing are demos. So I played the Resident Evil 4 demo that came out. That was a surprise from that Capcom Direct that they did last week. And it's basically from the beginning of the game into that first village, and you fight the chainsaw guy. So they've been calling it the chainsaw demo.
Nice.
And I only played this demo once because I know I'm getting this game, and I don't want to like blow myself out on it.
Can you carry over your progress into the main game?
No, but it's fine because it's not that much. Like
short.
It was maybe like 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
I think I've talked about this before. So I really, really, really like Resident Evil 4. I played it on the GameCube originally. It's been a while since I'd gone back to it. I got the version on Switch, just like the pretty like standard port. And I started to feel like this game had not aged as well as I had thought. Like just the way it played felt a little clunky to me. So I didn't get very far in that, unfortunately. But I've been really excited for this remake, and I was pretty interested to get just a sense for the feel of this remake now. I was playing it on PS5. And it's an interesting approach where the game definitely has like a distinct point of view about how the character should move and how you should aim. But I think they've done a really good job of compromising that, of making it feel modern, but not changing what the game was. Like, for example, like when you're shooting, you are stationary. Like you cannot walk and shoot. That's always been the way it is. But just like even moving around the environment that had started to feel clunky in those previous versions felt really good now in this one. So I'm pretty happy with this as far as the modernization that they've done. There are some other little tweaks that they've done that I'm really interested to dig into more in the full game. So you always had like your knife in addition to whatever guns you have. I was playing and like, oh, your knife broke. And I thought, what? My knife broke?
Like Breath of the Wild, weapons breaking?
I guess you can rebuild your knife or get different knives, I read now. You can also you can like parry most attacks with the knife. Which I didn't get the chance to do when I was playing, maybe because I wasn't doing that well, but that's definitely a new mechanic that could be much appreciated, because sometimes these enemies just run up on you and you can't get enough shots into them to take them down before they attack you. So that's a good way out of that. It felt a little bit like that village area had been just sort of reshuffled to make it even more exciting. That's a great place to do a demo though, because it's just sort of, you know what you need to know, and now they put you into this open spot and you can just sort of fiddle around with things and test things out, try different approaches. Totally. I ended up getting taken down by the chainsaw guy. But again, I'm not going to go back to this demo because I know I'm going to get this game and I just want to jump right into it. But that was a really reassuring demo of like, yeah, they're really doing the right work on this.
Is it scarier now with the new upgrades? Would you say?
Yeah, it's not as scary as like, what's the one that you played? 7?
I played 7, yeah.
It's not as scary as that.
That's what I think too. Like I remember I really liked Resident Evil 4, and I played it originally on GameCube as well, because it wasn't as horror, like creepy horror. It's more like action. But I was just wondering if the remaster made it more.
Your character is much more capable, so you don't feel as powerless. And you have a lot more ammo, you have a lot more stuff at your disposal.
Yeah. Do they have a lot of jump scares?
There are, yeah, and I'd forgotten about some of those early scenes before you get to the village where you're in like a cabin and this guy pops out and it's like, oh gosh. So they definitely are some, classic RE jump scares or spooky moments, but I feel like you might be okay with this game.
Yeah, I definitely remember when I played this game for the first time, I was okay. So I was just a little worried that they like remastered it to make it spookier.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm super, super hype for this game. So that's what I'm jumping on when that comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be
good. The other thing I played was the Bayonetta Origins demo.
Yeah.
That came, does that come out? That game might come out this week. I just didn't know what this game was. And I was like, I got the time. Let's see what this is all about. Because it's obviously not a traditional Bayonetta game. It's kind of done in this storybook style where it's a bit more like top down, not as action heavy, but you play as young Bayonetta. I'm not super plugged into the Bayonetta lore, but you're sort of like where she came up. You're sort of in these woods, these like magical woods, and you still have a teacher, and your teacher is teaching you how to summon demons. So you summon your first demon, which is that Cheshire, that cat doll that she has. And something I didn't realize about the game is you're actually controlling two characters at once at a lot of times. So you're controlling Bayonetta and you're controlling Cheshire. And Cheshire is the one that does all of the attacks. And Bayonetta can cast other spells to do more like status things. So you can like put somebody in thorns to hold them in place. I haven't learned that many spells in the demo. But that was an interesting mechanic that I was not expecting. That was one of my big questions, like how does the combat work in this, since Bayonetta is basically an all combat game,
right?
But it's done really well, and the combat is pretty limited, but it still feels good because it's a Platinum Games game and they know what they're doing with that. The art style is really cool. It's got this kind of watercolor look to it, and there are even some times where, like, you know, you'll go into a new scene and you actually turn a page in a book and then it goes into that. So they're very committed to this storybook presentation. I was pretty impressed with it by the end. It's a pretty long demo. It's like maybe like 2 hours long, and that does carry over to the full game. So I don't know if I'm going to play the full game just because I'm waiting for Resident Evil, but I'm much more inclined to pick it up maybe later than I had been before. And I'm glad I checked it out because it just feels very unique. It feels a lot like the game in my mind that I kept going to, and I don't think it's a perfect comparison, is like Star Fox Adventures, where it's like, yeah, it's got some combat, but that's not what it's about. There's some light exploration. It's like the sum of the parts is better than any one component, if that makes sense. And it's all really well done, and there's some really creative and cool ideas there. So it got my attention, that demo.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Bayonetta, to be perfectly frank. I feel like that type of action, all action, like just so fast kind of game doesn't quite click with me usually. So I'm actually more interested in this than I am by any other Bayonetta game, because it feels so different. You know, it definitely has more of elements of games that I do prefer, which is more of like, you know, exploration. It's more of a slower pace. It seems to be more story driven. I do really love the art style. It feels different and unique, and anytime you can give me a storybook something, I'm like,
I think you might like this. I think you should try this demo if you can squeeze it in.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it. I've heard really great things about this game, and I think, for me, for someone that doesn't really love the more traditional Bayonetta games, it might be an interesting way to like understand the character and the universe a little bit through something else. So
3 other things that I've been playing. 3 that I'm not going to talk about in detail. 1, the Octopath Traveler 2 demo. Again, that's another game that I had just written off, saying I'm not going to play this game. It's too big. But I saw a lot of people coming out saying this is like maybe one of the best RPGs of the decade. Dare I say JRPG? But just a lot of people like whose opinions I trust being like, this is super, super good. So I got the demo for that. I did check How Long to Beat, our favorite website. It said to beat this game at a very straightforward playthrough is 70 hours.
Nope.
So I won't be doing that. But I do wonder, because this game is about those 8 characters. Like, could I just say, like, I'm just going to do 1 or 2 and then put the game down? Like, are they distinct enough that I could do that and not feel like I'm missing out on some big overarching story? I don't know. Please let me know because I'm curious about that. I mean, it played well, looked great. All the stories seemed like really well done and really interesting. The stories compelling.
Did you play the first Octopath Traveler?
I did until I got to a really annoying difficulty spike, and then I put it down. So I'm curious about that too.
All right.
So who knows? Another game I started last night, too early to talk about, it's a terrible name. Anno Mutationum is this like indie game on the eShop that I got. And I found it when we were doing research for like eShop hidden gems. I came across that and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'll check that out later. It's a cyberpunk game. Ooh. It's got some action. It's got some exploration. Again, I'm too early to say exactly what this is or if it's good. More on that next week. And then finally, the last thing, my next big game just came in the mail. I'm going to hold it up.
I'm exhausted right now.
I'm going to hold it up. Look at this. Here it is.
I can't really see it because it's very...
Monster Jam Steel Titans 2. Let me tell you the chain of events that led me to get this, because it's a wild ride. Weird.
Okay, tell me.
So this is a monster truck game, if you can't see.
I can see.
for our audio
I'm already
listeners.
Disinterested.
So I got that Mario movie toy at Target last weekend. So I had to go into the toy section at Target. Also in there, because it's the Mario van from the movie. This is like the cars section. They had a toy of this giant monster truck that had a shark theme to it. It said the Megalodon, and I thought, wow, that's a cool design for like a toy car. And I didn't think anything of it again. Came home that same day, browsing Twitter, and somebody made a post about that same shark monster truck. And I realized that's a real car. That is a real monster truck. The Megalodon monster truck is real. And and then it was like, oh, maybe, boy, is there like a video game about, can I play this shark car? Can I like crush a car in this shark car in a video game? That would be cool. Sure enough, Monster Jam Steel Titans 2 now is in my hot little hands. I'm going to be checking this out tonight.
This is like what an 8-year-old would do. You have the mind of a child.
It's great. I did do a little research on this. The reviews were not glowing, but I didn't.
You got a physical copy?
I didn't expect. It was much cheaper physical than it was like half. It was like $40 digital and under $20 for the physical. So I got that.
You're cheap.
So check back next week. Hot impressions. Monster Jam Steel Titans 2. Did I crush the car in the Megalodon? Find out.
It's like an 8-year-old. I'm podcasting with an 8-year-old.
It's going to be great. Okay. We are moving on now, officially, to the news.
News.
An Xbox story leading the news. So, right as we were about to head out the door to go to Super Nintendo World at 7:30 in the morning, series of tweets. Starfield delayed until September 6th, and they are holding a direct, their words, for Starfield on June 11th, which will follow after the Xbox Game Showcase that same day. So there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. Well, first of all, let us just start with saying we were right.
Our big prediction, yes.
Our big prediction. 23 predictions for 2023. Check.
A lot of them are coming true.
We should do a recap soon. In the mid-year.
Quarterly recap? End of March. We should check in. Yeah.
JFM?
Yes. The QBR, the Quarterly Business Review.
The QBR. We're in the green,
the QPR,
people.
the Quarterly Predictions Review.
Okay, anyways, so we were right. I think we kind of expected this, obviously, so no surprises for us. I thought it was going to be delayed even later. Not too late. They probably...
There's still time to delay it again.
We'll see if they delay it again. But yeah, I mean... Not a surprise, and good to know that there is more info coming on this game. This game I feel weird about, because it's like we've seen some extended like footage things for it, like, you know, long trailers or whatever, but I still feel like I don't know much about it. Is that how you feel?
I feel strangely about this game too.
Yeah.
They also, I mean, they had a fair amount of new footage in the little video clip that they posted with this.
Right. But it's not all like sort of gelling together for me.
I don't know exactly what makes it unique, because it's like, well, it looks like you got one part Mass Effect, you got one part No Man's Sky, you got some other little odds and ends. Like what makes this game stand out on its own? I don't know.
I think that's my problem too, is that it has sort of elements of other games that has existed and they look familiar to me, but I'm not sure what the cohesive thing holding this game together is. And I think until we can answer that, it's hard to like get hyped about this game, you know?
Yeah. Also, in the run up to E3, or what used to be E3, Xbox always was the first to announce their event. I don't know why you need to do it 3 months in advance though. That's a long time.
When you announce a movie trailer 1 month in advance, you need to announce your game delay and your showcase 3 months in advance.
I mean, there is an aspect to it now. If you're not part of E3, you do need to claim time and say, hey, June 11th, we're really going to be dominating half of that day, or who knows how much. So that's important.
ESA was good traffic copying for like E3 announcement barrage, but we don't really have that anymore. So I think these are feeling antsy on like, oh, we need to get our news out there, save the date, as it were, in people's brains. So I don't mind that. It's fine. Fine. So yeah, now we know in our brains when this is happening, and that's good.
Yeah, I don't think this will prompt like a lot of other announcements of big summer events yet. But it is a reminder of like, oh, we're getting into that season.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Before you know it, it'll be time.
And with every day that passes, you know, our thought about Nintendo doing like a Nintendo Live in this time frame, I start to feel less confident in that.
Me too.
Because for a big physical event that you would want somebody to come to, you do need to announce that pretty far out. So
exactly.
Maybe
they might do it in the October timeframe, which is when they do the Nintendo Live event in Kyoto.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it becomes a global event.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good save.
Do it in all 3 regions, maybe know, US, Europe, Japan at the same time frame, and that could lead into a big holiday thing for them. Mario, the movie, the game gets.
There are still ways for us to be right.
There's
That's what you're saying.
Always ways for us to manipulate it so we're right.
Cook these books on these predictions.
We'll cook it good.
Yeah.
All right.
This next story, this is a pretty ridiculous story that got way out of control last week about a thing that doesn't even officially exist. So
bit of a tizzy here on this.
I don't even know how to approach this, but people were worried that whatever the successor to the Switch is might not have backwards compatibility.
Right.
And it was a lot of like, well, if this happens, it was a lot of like what ifs stacking onto itself. So people were looking at like, you know, the chipsets that Nintendo is currently using and assuming like, well, they're going to be continuing to use the next NVIDIA chips, and there's some difference between them that would make it hard for the original games to run unless they did X, Y, or Z. And people just fell into a tizzy on this, and it was, you know, the usual suspects doing clickbait stuff like backwards compatibility not confirmed.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's way too early to start doing this because the system's not announced. We don't know exactly what's inside.
Exactly.
I would just urge people to maintain calm until we have actual information about this.
Cleansing breaths.
Because we don't know. There's nothing confirmed. Nothing's announced. So
exactly. And that's the other, it kind of leads into the other discussion we had a couple weeks ago about like, let's just continue to enjoy the Switch. You know, we still have, you know, some big games coming for Switch. We've recently got some cool like Metroid stuff too. Like the Switch is still going really strong. We have GBA now. Like, let's just enjoy it and sit with something that we know and not worry about this big gaping unknown for now. You know, it doesn't serve any purpose to just kind of wring your hands over something like this when we can enjoy the system that we have right now.
Too many what ifs for this to be worth worrying about right now.
Exactly.
Lastly, we saw the final Mario movie trailer.
Yes, we did. It was a very short little trailer. Like we were saying, we did a reaction to this. Actually watched it twice because we were like, did we miss anything here? But I think the thing that stood out to me the most, and I'm not sure if you had the same feeling as well, is like I really did not know that Mario Kart was going to be such a big part of this movie. Like I thought that was like the first time they showed the Mario Kart stuff, I think in that second trailer, I thought it was just sort of like a bit of fan service, like they'll have a quick little scene, that kind of has a Mario Kart thing to it. But seeing this third trailer, it's like, oh, this is the story premise like to save Luigi, they have to do like some sort of like all out villains versus good drag race in Mario Kart? Like, is this Fast and Furious, the Mario movie? Is that the deal?
I don't have that feeling. I feel like that will be a cool set piece that will happen. So we saw some people in our stream comparing it to like the Star Wars pod racing, which was kind of done the same way of like, wow, this is going to look neat. It'll be fun. But I don't think it's like super consequential to the story of the movie.
Why do they keep going back to it then?
I don't know. And I was also wondering like, wow, they could have kept that out of the second trailer and made that a huge, big, exciting new thing in this third trailer.
Right.
Which didn't I was pretty meh on this third trailer because it was mostly stuff we'd seen before.
Yeah.
And I didn't totally know why it needed to exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine that it does. I'm not mad about it, but it felt pretty unessential.
Yeah, it confused me more than anything. Like it just I wasn't sure how it all fit together because exactly it's like stuff that we already seen before from like the second trailer and the first trailer a bit. So I'm wondering like what is the important takeaway here if you're trying to get hyped for this movie. And then the other thing that I did really like was that little snippet of Donkey Kong getting the fire flower, and then they kind of have that scene where they're basically like doing a Mario level together. Like that part I really loved, and again it made me think of Mario the movie, the game, and how they could like do that literally. Like maybe there's like a co-op thing and you play, that'd be so cool. That'd be really fun. Like that's a missed opportunity if they don't do something like that. So I was excited about to see that.
There were two other little newsy things in that stream that they packed in. The first, they did not do a good job of messaging this, but the tickets went on sale.
Yeah.
Like they were super vague about it. They were like, in some regions, the tickets are on sale. Like, is it this region? I don't know. But we got our tickets. We're going to go see it day one. So that'll be fun.
So excited.
Very excited about that. But the blockbuster news in this stream was that they have recreated Mario's shoes. And you can go see them.
So confused by this. Like, out of all the things, why the shoes? Like, out of all the iconic things about Mario that you could create, Mario's hat,
Yeah.
There's so many things, like, beyond what he's wearing. Like, there's so many things.
This is one of those things that would just happen at Nintendo where you would hear about it and everybody had already bought into it before, but you're like, what?
Right.
Why is this a thing? Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, totally. And this is also one of those things where recreating anything IRL at Nintendo is a big to-do because that IP team is very controlling. I'm sorry, now my dog.
Yeah, you have the dog going crazy. What is happening in this house?
There's window cleaners today. And sorry, everybody.
But the shoes.
Yes. Should I continue or should we?
Are you going to go see the shoes?
I am going to New York this week for.
That's what I'm setting up here.
Unrelated to this, so I will try to go see the shoes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to be around that area. So if you are in New York and going to the Nintendo store on Friday, I will be there.
Wow!
Come see the shoes with me. We could all be confused together.
I mean, it seemed to draw a big crowd.
I guess
surprisingly somehow.
I also was talking to Tris from Game Explain over the weekend, who did see them in person already. You also get like a cement shoe print at the store if you saw the shoes. So it's like instead of like the Hollywood hands, it's like the Mario footprints. Again, all of it is weird and confusing. I don't know why they recreated the shoes. I know that creating anything in 3D is really, really hard at Nintendo because I've done it several times and it's an absolute nightmare. So I don't know if that was like the easiest thing to recreate in the time that they had left to promote this. Whatever. I saw the van was also there in New York, and the van is on tour.
The van is coming here soon. We're going to go try and see the van.
We're going to go see the van when it comes here on March 20th. Yeah. So that is actually cool, though. So
right.
So that's a good one. But the shoes are confusing, very confusing.
But either way, it does feel like the hype machine is really like taking off for this movie. Seems like it's going to do super, super well. You know, creatively, financially, every way you could look at it. Seems like this will be a success, I think.
Yeah.
So why don't we get into this big topic that we teased at the front of like, is Nintendo ready for this big leap? This was actually a poll that we put up for our Patreon subscribers. We do one of these every week. So the poll says, with the Mario Brothers movie coming out soon and more people experiencing Super Nintendo World around the globe, it feels like Nintendo is successfully transitioning into a true entertainment juggernaut across multiple mediums. How are you feeling as the company makes this major transformation? 67% of people said, I love it. More Nintendo everything. So these people are happy. Think this is great. 19% said, I'm worried about resources being taken away from games. 13% said, the company may change, but I doubt I will notice it. And only 1% said, I don't think they will have long-term success outside of games. So some interesting responses there. We really felt this week with the trailer being at the park, all these new things that we'd known about from the Iwata era that were finally coming to fruition.
That's the thing.
And being done really well.
That's the thing. Like, this is not a new idea. If you have been inside and working, you know, like at Nintendo, like we have for so many years, like this idea of Nintendo not being considered a video game company, but an entertainment company was totally a Mr. Iwata directive that was really like bought into when we were at Nintendo for like a really long time. But I think until now, like this week, it didn't really like have a payoff, you know, like sure there was like some little things that was dabbled in from an entertainment perspective, like back in the day, like it was a big deal when Netflix was available on Wii U, you know, like that was sort of like the start of this idea of Nintendo transitioning away from being just a video game company to a entertainment company. Or like, you know, like when we were there, we were starting to do very, very slowly starting to do more partnerships with like Lego and Levi's and Uniqlo and stuff like that. So you kind of started to see glimpses of the promise of that. But I don't think it's becoming a reality or has become a reality until right now. The park just opened. This movie's coming out in a month. Now reality is going to set in, I think. And it's really going to, the switch will flip, I think, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah. So what do you think is going on at the company now that all these things are happening, all these big long-term ventures are going well? What do you think like people are thinking, talking about over there?
Yeah. So, you know, Nintendo is a very sort of conservative company, and also it's a pretty small company as well. Like Nintendo is not like a Microsoft where there's like, you know, huge teams of people doing these things. It's a very small, like really focused group. And everybody was already pretty darn busy at Nintendo and did things that were well beyond their job description. I mean, we lived through that, you know, for almost our entire career. There's a very lean company. So I sort of get the sense, and I'm a little bit concerned too, like when that switch flips and they think about, you know, the company will start to like really be catapulted into this direction of having to do so much more than market and create video games. Like, I don't know if they have the resources set up to like sustain.
This is where I am too with this. In a way, this park and this movie were the easy part of this transition.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, a Mario movie. It's like, well, don't mess it up and it'll be cool.
Right.
Or this theme park. It's like, yeah, Mr. Miyamoto is like trying his hardest to bring his creation to real life. Like,
yeah,
sounds like that should be amazing. And you can talk people into like, hey, this is a one-off thing. Can you help with this? Can you, all these teams that are doing 19 other things, like, hey, Mr. Miyamoto needs your help with this. And it's like, okay, fine.
Obviously, you're going to say yes.
I'll do it. But now, if it becomes like, okay, the Mario movie is this smash hit, it made $1 billion. Now we're spinning up all these other movies or TV shows, presumably. You do start to need more infrastructure, a lot more than they currently have.
Right. So and a lot more expertise too, which I think they're very reliant on Illumination and Universal on that expertise. And that's external. They don't like that. They like to keep things internal. They don't have the expertise.
Yeah. I do think Universal's been a good partner.
Yeah,
but
of course.
At some point they will need more themselves. So, look at Marvel as the comparison. Like, they started that whole Marvel Pictures thing. Now that they have Kevin Feige, who's the head of all that, he's totally distinct from whatever they're doing in comics or other stuff. And it's kind of run as its own thing. So I wonder, like, when do we get the Nintendo equivalent of that? Like the huge investment in this new medium with true experts there who can do that every single day and not bog down the rest of the company.
Exactly. Because I think if you don't have that infrastructure in place, like pretty quickly after this catapults you into a new business space altogether, that's where you can start to get some failures like across the board. And that's why there, some people have real concerns where, the first thing to suffer might be the games side. So that's a little bit scary, but I'm sure the company is thinking about this, but they are kind of slow moving. So I wonder like how quickly they can get these kinds of things put into place. It's like that thing where it's like, when you watch like a Disney movie and like at the very end, it's like, oh, the prince and the princess get married and they live happily ever after. Like, I feel like the movie and the park opening is like that Disney movie ending. It's like, now Nintendo's going to live happily ever after. But what you don't see is like the actual marriage. Like what happens, like that's going to be really hard. Like you're going to need to like work every single day to make that successful.
And so it's
like, I don't know what they're doing to be successful there.
What project do we do next? How do we pick that? How do we, is it a TV? Is it a movie? Like, is it the same partner? There's like so many questions and all of those are so consequential. And to the point of infrastructure, people might say like, oh, well, they got that Nintendo Pictures, like CG company. Like that's they're making like little cutscenes and stuff. Like that's nowhere near enough to be able to juggle. Like you almost need like a Pokemon company type equivalent to manage all this stuff now.
And it's not just like, Nintendo Pictures or whatever it's called. That's like a production company.
Right.
You need like a business division with people that have expertise in partnerships, in like, how to like negotiate this kind of stuff.
Talent.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's like, so my brain is like swirling because I can imagine the types of resourcing and the kinds of people you'll need to find and hire to do a job like this and be successful at it. And it's really, really, really hard.
That said, though, you do see the path for them to become like, this Disney tier, just juggernaut in all media.
Yeah.
Which is
remarkable.
Do
it right. If they can do it right, it would be like that universe where everything's connected. You have all of these different experiences that are under one ecosystem. And there's so much opportunity to do more things. Like we were getting so excited. We're like, oh my gosh, they should do Super Nintendo World for like every other IP. Like give us the Zelda world. Give us the, the same thing you can say. Like they can do a Zelda movie. They can do a TV show for Fire Emblem. Like if they can get it right, the opportunities are so endless. It would be amazing.
So we did have that realization as we were leaving the park of like, they could outgrow this partnership really fast. Because what's there is great. It says Super Nintendo World, but it's 100% Mario.
Right.
And there's nowhere to grow for all the other facets of Nintendo.
Yeah.
So you almost see the scenario where they're like, all right, dig up Super Nintendo World, put it somewhere else that we have a lot of space, and we'll build around that now.
Yeah.
And I think you would still want Universal to be a part of that because they know theme parks, but being part of this whole bigger thing, like it works now, but I could see it not working pretty fast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like both the theme park and the movie are these really incredible proofs of concept. Like the concept is there and it's working, like obviously, right? This movie is going to be great. We all know. I think we all know that at this point, even without having watched it. Like it's going to be awesome. And the park is awesome. So clearly the concepts have been proven. So now what? What are you going to do next? I would hate to see it just end here. That would be really a wasted opportunity. But to grow and to expand means changing your entire business structure. Your entire company needs to be changed. And can Nintendo do that and keep up with it? And can Nintendo do that and, still be focused on the things that they're really, really good at, like their bread and butter, as people say? Like, those are all like really real questions that can determine their future. So.
Yeah, they just have this built-in advantage with the strength of their games already. And we noted that as we were going around Universal. It's like, okay, well, they've got Harry Potter. Well, that was at its peak 10 years ago, and now there's not much going on. Or they have The Simpsons. It's like, that obviously Simpsons peaked a while ago. But like Nintendo is just perpetually peaking because they always have the hot new thing.
Yeah.
So like for Universal, like that could become the crown jewel. And the same thing with all these movies. It's like, well, Minions, it's a new IP. We need to teach people from scratch what Minions is or why should they care? It's like, you don't have to do that at all. So they have so many built-in advantages already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it could also work to their advantage. Like, again, when we're inside working at Nintendo and talking about this entertainment side of it, there was a lot of discussion about like how you could like feed the machine this way, where like someone that may never have exposure to Nintendo from a video game can suddenly have exposure through the movie or through a theme park or through a Lego set. And then you can bring them into the Nintendo ecosystem. Then you got them. You capture that person and you can keep selling them stuff, for the rest of their lives, So it's like to have that like loop that can feed forever, like that's not a lot of companies can say that they have something that incredible like in their hands right now.
Yeah.
But like you just have to do something with it and do it right and do it fast, because like at some point the ship is going to sail and it's not going to be like a cool thing anymore, and then you'll become like dated like The Simpsons, So it's like the opportunity is there, but the time is ticking. So I'd be interested to see what happens in the next couple of years.
We got some good responses from our Patreon subscribers on this topic. Katie said, I hope expanding more beyond games forces Nintendo to evolve a bit. I love Mario Odyssey, but I have to admit I was disappointed when the storyline for the game was the same lazy, outdated trope of Mario saving Peach again. I was worried the movie would also be a damsel in distress story, but was pleasantly surprised to see the formula had been switched up and Princess Peach's character was updated to be more empowered. I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect the involvement of other parties like Illumination and Universal Pictures may have influenced this shift. Sometimes I think Nintendo would be happy to keep doing everything the same way it has since the 80s, and I think going outside the video game bubble can help the company grow in ways that otherwise wouldn't. That's very well said.
Yes.
Zroid says, personally, as I've gotten older, I've found myself to have less time to actually play games, despite still being very engaged with video game content and the industry overall. This is especially true for Nintendo content since I've been a lifelong fan of their various properties. Having more and more different opportunities to interact with Nintendo is something that definitely brings me a lot of joy, given that I don't spend as much time playing their games as I may have done in the past. Another interesting perspective. And then finally, Captain Alex says, Nintendo is charting a course to make Mario into the next Mickey Mouse, even though he already is for the gaming industry. Unfortunately, I think there's a disconnect between Nintendo Japan and the Western audience that I think will ultimately stunt its long-term growth. I want more. I'm excited about everything we're getting, but I also think we might be in a Mario Mania bubble that's eventually going to pop. Mario and the Nintendo universe have long-term staying power, but I think Nintendo has to play its cards perfectly over the next few years to ensure long-term success outside of video games.
Very well said.
Y'all are pretty smart.
Guys.
That's my conclusion.
You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Smarter than we are.
Speaking of our Patreon subscribers, we've got 8 fantastic questions from them.
Let's do it.
Let's jump into it now. This is a marathon episode, by the way.
Whew.
It's good.
It's okay.
Nobody does these podcasts like we do. Who out there does it like this? Nobody.
A lot of people does it.
No, they don't.
Do it, but not you, like you and me, because you and me are unique.
You like to throw water on my great points today. You've got cats and dogs going crazy over there, and you still got time to discount every little,
I'm sorry,
little comment.
Everybody. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting. Questions from the community.
Cerulean Dragon has the first question. You've mentioned in the past that Nintendo has been historically anti-Mario Day. However, this year they've done movie trailers, a special Switch bundle, an eShop sale, tweets, and more. Did this come as a surprise to you? What do you think changed and when?
Yeah, Mario Day when we were at Nintendo was always very overlooked, and it was very much like, oh, that's coming up again. And also there was a big like directive usually inside the company that's like Mario Day is for the fans and for the fans to do their fan things. Like as a company, we will not do something for Mario Day because it might take away from this like fan-made holiday. So I was a little bit surprised that we saw like sort of a more official recognition of Mario Day this time, and especially when in the movie trailer Mr. Miyamoto like said it like he explained Mario Day to everybody, which was pretty funny. But I think the reason why there was support around Mario Day this year at Nintendo is that there is actually stuff happening this time.
Exactly. Two things. If there was ever a year to blow it out, this is it.
This is the one.
And also, like, so much of this activity came from the partners. Like, it wasn't from Nintendo.
Right.
And a lot of these partners understand Mario Day and the potential power. So they want to do stuff around it, even if Nintendo's like, oh, who cares? So, like, the movie trailer, that was led by the movies. The Lego thing, that was led by them. This shoe nonsense, that was driven by somebody else. Like, Nintendo had, they had their sale. The new bundle was cool. That's a little bit different. So again, it's good that these partners kind of give them a different view on something they may have had a weird hang up about before.
Yeah, exactly.
Banana Bread Slice is next. Hi there. Yeah. Love the insight as always. What was the reaction like inside the company when patent applications become public? And did you get a heads up on any major patent filings beforehand? Most of Nintendo's hardware patents never become a real product, but sometimes they do telegraph what Nintendo is doing and cause everyone to speculate wildly.
The patents, yes. We all like to watch the old U.S. Trademark Office, the UTO, as it were, to talk about the patents. But yeah, we get a heads up from our legal team about potential upcoming patents. Sometimes. But you're right. Like most of the time, it's like, just patent on all of it as much as you can because you don't know what you might use in your product later, but it might not all be something that is actually going to make it into the product. Yeah,
we actually were not really concerned about these coming out or didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it because, like you said, there were so many and the vast majority of them didn't end up being a product.
Exactly.
So it was like, sure, if you all want to speculate about all these things that legally have to become public, then knock yourself out. Like you're not going to fixate on the one that actually is the thing.
Right.
So who cares? That was kind of the thinking.
Yeah. We just let people go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what can we do? We are legally mandated to have these things become public. So yeah. Colin SM has the next question. Hi, guys. What do you think are the odds of an Avengers-style post-credit scene after the Mario movie? I foresee a surprise King K. Rool scene foreshadowing a Donkey Kong Country movie, but of course there are so many wonderful teases they could make. What do you think might be teased and why?
Will there be a tease signaling another movie? I don't think another movie will be teased because I don't know if those plans are solidified. Will there be a post-credit scene that's just for laughs, just for fun? Possibly. I could see that just being like another little Easter egg that they pop into the end of the movie as just fan service or something like that. But do I think that they're going to tease another upcoming movie or something like that? I don't think so.
I agree with you 100%. That's how I feel too. Yeah. DMC has the next question. Hi, Krista and Kit. In the last podcast news section, you mentioned that the wrong Nintendo logo was used in Microsoft's announcement of the 10-year deal for Call of Duty. Yay for all Nintendo gamers. Can you explain this a little more, please? Should they have used the Nintendo Switch logo, or has the Nintendo corporate logo changed that's only noticeable to the trained eye of communications staff?
Red forward branding.
So the logo they used was the red, they call it the race track. That's the circle, that's the oval around the text.
Red,
all red.
Colored logo with the circle.
Right. So that went out. They stopped using that probably like 15 years ago, a long time ago.
Long time ago.
And then they had just the all gray logo, which is boring. And I think they realized that was boring. So maybe 5-ish years ago, they introduced a new red logo, but it's basically the inverse, where it's white with a red background. That's why they call it red forward branding. It was really stupid. Right. So, but people love that original red logo, and we still see it popping up all the time. And like agencies that we work with would use it, and we would always just like groan. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, how are you supposed to know? It's a small detail. But in this case, if you're doing a 10-year bajillion-dollar deal, maybe get the red corporate logo. Maybe double check the logo, you know? Yeah. That's it. That 10-year deal should have just used the gray logo because it's very serious. It's a corporate announcement. We're not announced. It's not the end of some trailer. They had the Microsoft logo. They didn't have the Xbox logo. Exactly. Yeah. So there's some brand problems there that somebody should have caught. And again, there were so few people who were probably working on that. They just like Googled Nintendo logo, like, yeah, here it is. Here we go. Nintendo logo PNG and use that one, which is what I do now. Sometimes I use the red logo as a way to like troll. Silently troll. I get my yuck somehow, guys. Yeah. Furlio has the next question. Has a Nintendo employee with limited game experience ever made the honest mistake of misnaming Samus as Metroid or Link as Zelda? How did everyone react, and were they swiftly reprimanded? Well, there was definitely moments. I don't know if this specific thing has ever happened in my presence, but there was definitely moments where people used to say like Wiimote instead of Wii Remote. Or little things like that that would cause some reprimanding for sure. You had a all-time iconic moment filming a Metroid video with a not to be named person from the Nintendo Treehouse, where you asked, "Why can't Metroid crawl?" Which is a classic reference to Miiverse, and the person that didn't, I think they just didn't know the reference, so they didn't. They were like, "What are you talking about? This is gibberish." They blinked at you, and I mean, you can't watch the video anymore. Maybe we'll put it up somewhere. But it was hilarious. It was like a just blank stares. Yeah, I mean, this stuff did happen though. Yeah. Like the only team that is truly supposed to be the experts is the Treehouse. Right. So everybody else was given a lot of leeway. There were teams within marketing where that was kind of their reputation, where it's like, they're not really great on the game details, so maybe don't expect too much out of that. Yeah. And they continued to just kind of bumble their way through it. Right. Our team, really, I think we took a lot of pride in knowing this stuff and loving games and playing games and being knowledgeable. So never happened to us. Yeah. Gartooth is next. We saw Gartooth at Super Nintendo World. Oh boy, Gartooth. One question I hear a lot among fans is just how does Nintendo feel about the importance of franchises that star characters from the Mario cast, such as the Yoshi or Donkey Kong series? Are these considered distinct brands inside the company that are important and on par with the likes of Zelda, Metroid, Pikmin, and Kirby? Or are they regarded more as Mario series spin-offs by the company and not on that same level? Oh, don't ever put don't ever put Pikmin and Zelda in the same grouping. Sorry, Gartooth. At Nintendo, here is the pyramid. On the very top, Mario. Probably around the same level, but maybe even like a little bit below Zelda. And then it's like sort of, it evens out into like more of like B tier characters. We're not counting Pokemon here. We're not counting Pokemon. Yeah. Pokemon's at the top. They would be at the top too. It's like 2 and 2, 1 and 2, or 1 and 1. Sorry, but like there's these like B level characters, and that's where you probably put like Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Kirby. Although they did a good job making Kirby, try to push him up the pyramid a little bit. We would do those brand recognition surveys, though. We do, yeah. And all the time. It was basically like you do a poll for the public, and it was like, do you recognize this character? Right. And Mario, as you would imagine, did super well.
Always
the other character that surprisingly did super well was Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, yeah.
And I don't
Higher
know...
than some of the other Nintendo characters that you would think.
That have a more distinct look, honestly.
Right.
Than Donkey
Probably
Kong.
because it was Mario and Donkey Kong the very first in like the
Maybe,
arcade.
yeah. That always
might be
surprised
that.
me. The other thing is, again, there are no distinct like brand teams at Nintendo, so nobody's overseeing this stuff, and they're like nobody's thinking about like, oh, how do we grow the Donkey Kong brand? Nobody's thinking about that. That's another thing they should be thinking about as this company explodes into entertainment.
Yeah, the marketing team did like the brand stuff, but we were not like, there was no like brand manager, which is weird,
right?
Because usually all of these companies,
there was nobody in charge. Period.
So it was just you, like it would rotate between all of us. Like it would be like Kit was a brand,
but it was for a game, one game.
Yeah,
it was not for everything.
Not for like all of Zelda or whatever.
Pikmin Sneezekov is next. Hi, Kit and Krysta. I'd like to ask you, did you have any emergency PR plans at Nintendo in cases of serious technical issues with game or system launches? For example, I recall back when Smash for Wii U launched in 2014, large numbers of users reported that the game had bricked their system. Thankfully, from what I remember, Nintendo fixed the issue shortly after. Do you remember working on any PR statements at the time for this?
So you mean every year during Christmas when the eShop goes down?
So you can get ahead of a lot of issues like this by just having sort of a generic statement that you can plug in details to.
Right.
And get that kind of pre-approved. Because otherwise, if you're starting fresh on something, it's a lot of work and a lot of time to get everybody who needs to approve it to do that.
Right.
There are situations, though, where it's such a unique thing, you can't plan for it.
Exactly.
So Christmas was a great example because the eShop broke for like 2 years straight. We scrambled to write some message. And then we just realized, oh, the eShop's just going to break every year.
Yeah.
Let's just get this blanket approved. And we did. So then when it broke the next year, it was like, just put it out there. Don't even sweat it. And then when you get
the bomb threat during E3, that's a one-off. But there is, to answer your question, there is a crisis communications team that actually sat within our team. So we actually worked really closely with the two people that did Crisis Comm, which always seemed like a terrible job. I've never.
That's a hard job, yeah.
But they would have like messaging, Q&As or FAQs or, stuff like that ready. They would work real close with like the customer service side so they can have the statements. So if someone calls like, oh my God, my Wii U bricked, there'd be some official statement that everybody was using, or like, on our side, if like media started asking us questions, then we would share the same statement. So like any sort of public thing is the same. So there is a team that did that, and they were on our team, and we really worked hand in hand with them. And that's a hard job that not a lot of people are like cut out to do. And that team is really good at Nintendo. So,
all right. Our last question is from vgmlife. This might get some people riled up. So we put it at the end. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Do you consider Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island to be a mainline Mario game or a side game to the mainline Mario series? Thanks as always for the great work.
I think it's a side game.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
Even though the title says Super Mario World 2, I feel that this is the start of the Yoshi series, which is distinct and different.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's even gotten more distinct and different throughout the years. So I think the trajectory of it signals to us that there are two separate things.
But even at the moment back then, when this game first came out, I didn't feel like, oh yeah, this feels like the next Mario game. This feels.
I agree. It feels like a different game.
I could never buy into that. So come at us if you disagree.
If you had a brand manager, you would never have to have this problem.
If you had a brand manager in 1994,
manager brand people. What's your brand manager going to do now?
That is the end of our questions.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you as always for asking. We'd love to answer. We also do a weekly bonus Q&A as part of our Patreon perks that you won't hear anywhere else. It is time to shout out our Patreon superstars. This is our highest Patreon tier. Wonderful people, all of them.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Aaron Hash.
Ben Eichhorn.
MaruMayhem.
Eigenverse.
KissMyFlapjack.
Mike Chin.
Mr. Rogers.
Roy Eschke.
Switching it up, _
Sephazon.
The Shark Among Men.
vgmlife.
Link, the hero of Winds.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly.
TurboChargeNerd.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Simon Barrera.
And Kyle LeBoeuf.
Woo, woo, woo!
Might have to ask the Shark Among Men what he feels about the Megalodon monster truck.
Is he also 8?
We're kindred spirits on this,
He
okay?
is an adult.
You're going to pour water on that too.
One Up Club commemorative graduation ceremony. A. Ron Burgundy.
Adam and Ansley.
Ajan Malari.
Ale Alejandro.
Alexander Pratt.
Astrodev.
Blazed and Enthused.
Bookem Dano.
Brad SF56.
Rookie Kazooie.
Bruce Dash.
Chancellor Fairley.
Chili Squirrel.
Christopher Lay.
Cozy Tar.
Captain Cinnamon Buns.
Captain Alex.
C. Roper 17.
Daniel Cold.
Daniel Phillips.
Daniel Valencia.
Doxson. Desert
Colt 18.
Doodoo Face.
Dolce Aguirre.
Dino Punch.
Elite Peach.
Espars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox deploying his dog Bernard.
Fred Rossi.
Garrett Hullfish.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartu.
G-Sun 101.
Ian Shea.
Israel Izzy.
Jay Randa.
Jabroni Jones.
JK99.
JBJ.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Jerry 92602.
Jesse Hernandez.
John Responte.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joseph DeHaze.
Joseph Quinn.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Julius Westenberg.
Just Camtro.
Kawa 2796.
Kelpshake.
Kevin Delane.
Chris Yu.
Christorati Kid.
Christopia Party With Me.
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Kyler Nelson.
Linnell Stickman.
Lego My Froggo.
Lana.
Lil Sebastian.
Lit.
Mad Dog 5981.
Marky Man 64.
Mecha Draga 101.
Megan.
Michael Cravens.
Michael White.
Mikey.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pong.
MSM Poke Gamer.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
Nitran.
Nasir.
Nathan Barkhart.
Panda Buns.
Paul C. Pace.
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Raver.
Rain Tech.
Ray Chiron.
Ryuji Otsuho Ukuu.
Renee Rivers.
Ryoth 1.
RJ Kern.
Rob Osborne.
Roxana Rex.
Rox.
Ryanetta.
Sam Nealand.
Sharif Jackson.
Shin Ryu.
Slow Bro.
Schmiggles.
Shrews.
Silly Ferret.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citron.
Tales of Link.
Tefew.
Terra Storm.
Thomas Alvarez.
Topher Schmofer.
Travis Torline.
True Pitch.
Tug's Puppy Bear.
Tusk Oob.
Tyler Geis.
Video Game Stupid.
Virtual Bot.
Wicket Davy.
Will Ernst.
Will Johnson.
Zudaverf.
Zelgaroth.
And Zroid. You got the giggles over there.
Topher Schmofer? It's a good one. Oh my gosh. This is like the longest episode ever.
I don't think it is.
We need to go.
It's not the longest ever.
It's so long. Don't forget to subscribe to us on patreon.com/Kit and Krysta to join our wonderful community and to help keep all of this going. We'd love to have you.
Some other things you can do right now that would help us out a lot. If you are listening on video, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. If you are listening on audio, you can give us a 5-star rating. Subscribe. Also leave a review there.
And follow us on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course, and Facebook. All right.
And that is that.
Wrapping it up, people. We'll see you later.
Bye.